Good afternoon, everybody. It is your favourite host from the Fast Travel Lounge. How are we all going today? I am joined today by Saif. Say hello, big fella.
Yeah, hello.
And in a special airdrop, we also have another guest, never before seen on the Fast Travel Lounge. You would introduce yourself.
I'm Steve's sense of humor. You haven't seen me for the past 90 plus episodes, but I do exist. I'm very lonely. I don't get fed.
Once again, I'm trying to do a funny and I always get one-upped.
Can you tell me about the condition of the room you're in?
It reminds me a lot of the womb.
I'm crying right now. I thought I was going to do something really funny.
No. You know what? I'll indulge you, Steve.
It was just. I just wanted that first bit, the surprise. Then you'd be like, wait a minute, we agreed that I'd host again. But no.
I mean, he is. He's already in the chair.
I mean, that did take me by surprise. I was about ready to just punch you over the internet for taking away my hope. Sorry. Welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. You're listening to episode, what are we at, 94? I think that was the last.
You missed a couple there.
Hang on, what? What do you guys?
Yeah, so we actually count the episodes where you're not on as canon episodes. So it's really only episode 6 or 7.
Man, we've been doing a lot of beach episodes, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but we weren't putting this podcast on pause just because you decided to leave and have a good time without us.
I failed to see the connection. That absolutely seems like the right call. I unequivocally see this as a win for me. Okay, right. What episode are we up to then?
This would be good old number 97.
97? What the?
Wrong. 98. Man, you don't even know what you're doing.
No, I don't. I was hoping I'd catch him off guard.
Why was 98 scared of 97?
I genuinely have no idea.
Because 98, 99, I don't know. I'm a bit excited because you're back, Pat. I'll be quite honest with you there.
Thank you. It's good to be back. That's absolutely a lie. I would much prefer to continue being on holiday, but we'll make do. We'll make do with what we have. I'm Patrick, as always. I'm joined by Seth and Steve. I know that Steve already did the introductions, but it feels wrong to come back and not just go through the motions, you know. So Japan quickfire. Let me try and preempt as many of these questions as I can. Yep, that is one of the Japanese words. Yep, you're on your way.
How many Japanese words did you learn?
A few actually. I learned that I'm gaijin, which I'm told is like a very cool person in Japan.
Also very tall.
No, genuinely, I would not want to be any taller traveling through Japan. The 6'2" is like the absolute limit. Part of my skull is embedded in several like parts of ceilings from just not needing to, like, I don't need to make a conscious effort to like walk around and duck in New Zealand, but man, did I learn quickly in Japan that that's not the case. Even some of the like subway stations, they just have the ceiling like an inch above my head, which, to be fair, I can walk unaided and it like I don't need to duck. But just to have the ceiling that close just freaks me out. But Japan quickfire. Let's see. I had like a big list of things I was going to just rattle off. I did a bunch of touristy things. I did not do Mario Kart on the streets. I did not. Genuinely, I'm like 1 centimeter too tall.
Short king, we win. We always win.
Yeah, you would.
So when Steven and I go, we can go Mario Karting in the streets.
You absolutely can go Mario Karting. Although, actually, I never saw anyone Mario Karting in the streets either. So
I think they've actually made that recently illegal. Like it wasn't the most safest thing or something. Or Nintendo.
Well, probably not, because Nintendo shut it down. You needed to get a license from Panda Global to host your own on the streets Mario Kart tournament.
Nintendo got the Pinkertons over.
Let's see what else. I did Shibuya Crossing. I booped the nose of the goodest boy at Shibuya.
No, right on.
I did the Glico Man pose. I did an onsen. I ate a variety of very interesting and cheap food from various convenience stores. I don't think I was that much of a nuisance. Only went to one store where you could just smell the BO. That was the manga floor of like a big department store, and in and out of that pretty quick. Oh boy.
It's nice to know that's international.
What do you mean?
Like people that read a lot of manga or watch a lot of anime, just have a musk, and it seems to be like universal.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
The only place that could have smelled worse would have been the Maid Cafe.
Did you go to a maid cafe?
I did not go to a maid cafe. I did not go to a cat cafe. I looked through the window of a teapot pig cafe, and that looked kind of interesting, but did not go in. Also, it was full.
Oh, question.
Full of teapot pigs.
Hold on. I got like another couple things. I got gotcha'd. I got suckered into a lot of the little gacha pods that they just have everywhere. Alcohol is insanely cheap, and there's one other thing. Oh, there was one other thing. What was the other thing?
Great chat.
Oh, and I rode the bullet train. There we go. That's
nice.
the quick checklist. What was your question?
Did you do the thing that would have made me really upset and go to Akihabara and see all the cheap pre-owned consoles?
I did go to Akihabara. I went there a couple times. That was actually with the BO floor. That was in Akihabara. We actually randomly in an isekai met an American guy who was over in Japan specifically to find old like Nintendo video games. So he knew his shit all around Akihabara.
You just call it like you had an isekai moment? That's what you. I'm pretty sure that's what you just said. That's
no, I think you just misheard.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Please ignore this part. Edit this out, Saif.
Unless I'm crazy, I'm pretty sure like the small bars that you go into are isekais.
Ah, never mind.
I could be totally off base with that. I actually didn't hear anyone say what it was that we were doing, but you know what? Fuck it. I need to look this up now before I get cancelled after.
Well, I thought you said isekai, like one of those animes where you get transported into another world.
I mean, to me, I thought it was the same. Oh, izakaya.
Ah, okay. Close.
My mistake. Very, very close. Yeah, okay. I can see how I got confused there. Yeah, type of informal Japanese bar that serves alcoholic drinks and snacks. Yeah, izakaya. There we go. So at an izakaya, I met an American guy who was traveling around Akihabara trying to find stuff. I was in a few places to look for a couple things specifically, but not for pre-owned consoles. But I did see that pre-owned consoles were available. I didn't check the prices. I was told not to check the prices because even if they are cheaper than in the West, they are still very expensive.
Yeah, but they're still like significantly cheaper than the West.
I'm sure, but luckily I'm not really in the mind of needing to own or needing to go find a pre-owned console.
It did actually occur to me. PS Vita.
Yeah, exactly. It did actually occur to me going through a couple of these places because a couple of the places sold like PSP games and things. Funnily enough, I don't know if I saw the PS Vita game section, but
the PS Vita has
games in that.
Yeah, there we go. But I did wonder if I was to try and find another person with a Vita, how easy would it be in Japan?
Not very. It didn't sell very well there either.
Cool. Yeah, I think the quickfire got me. I guess in case other people are interested, spent 3 weeks there. 1 week in Tokyo, a couple days dotted around the place, moving from Tokyo down to Nagoya, Osaka, Hiroshima, and Okayama, and then back to Tokyo and out again. So little smattering of places. Very cool. Very, very enjoyable trip. Would go again.
Mad, keen. I'm planning to go in about 6 months or so maybe I'll hit you up for some recommendations.
Maybe you will. Also, side point, there are so many fucking Australians in Japan. Like, holy shit.
Really?
It's real interesting.
I guess it's like a cheap holiday trip.
Cheapy-ish. It's no Bali.
Cheaper than, Bali is like the number one choice, and that's for like all the surfer bros and like Sydney siders.
Bogans.
Yeah.
Bogans.
But if you want to go out further, I think Japan is like the cheapest.
Yeah, there's a couple of good deals you can pick up as well.
It's also that the yen is just like crazy weak right now.
Yeah.
Is it? Might buy my yen now. Australian dollar to yen. 97. That's not too bad. Remember one time in like year 7 when we were doing Japanese in high school, our teacher was like, "Oh, it's 1-to-1. You should buy it all now." And I didn't understand what the fuck you were talking about. That's fine.
Well, yeah, no, it's real interesting.
Oh shit! It was down to like 88 last year, man. You did all right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, man.
Good on you.
When you're a non-Japanese person in Japan, you suddenly notice all the other non-Japanese people in Japan, and if they are either American or Australian, you hear them before you see them.
Yeah, that's it.
It's fucked. Enjoying a nice quiet drink on a rooftop bar in Hiroshima, and then suddenly fucking the most crooked. I'm trying to think of like the most offensive like. I actually have no idea where their accent was from, but just this really thick, annoying as fuck Australian accent. And it's a group of like 10 of them that all just swirl out onto the bar and just basically scream at each other from about 1 feet away.
Yeah, that is the Bogan experience.
Very, very Australian moment.
the eastern suburbs.
It really was. And it's like, man, the amount of temptation I have to push you off of this rooftop. But I digress.
I have one more Japan-related question for you.
Go on.
Can you give me a one-word review of the 7-Elevens there?
Amazing.
That's all I needed.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Good review.
There were a couple times when it was like, all right, we've had dinner, let's buy some snacks for both like tonight, tomorrow, and maybe some drinks or just basically whatever else we're feeling. Wander through, of course, they're called kombinis over there. Wander through a kombini, and it's like, yeah, I want these 3 cans of alcohol, this like random box of Japanese snacks, a sunscreen, a piece of fruit, and some bread. And then you go up to the till, and it's like, oh, that'd be like 900 to 1,000 yen, which at least in New Zealand dollars is like 11 or 12 bucks. And it's like, how? These 2 cans of beer alone would cost me the 12 bucks in New Zealand. What is going on? Food is crazy cheap and crazy tasty.
Their economy is a mystery to us.
Also, because it's a funny story to share with the pod, I will regale one funny story. So if you're traveling around Japan, chances are you will purchase a Japanese rail pass beforehand, just because it saves money on buying bullet train tickets. So we couldn't ride on the super fast bullet train because we didn't want to pay for the crazy expensive Japanese rail pass. But we still got like it's still a bullet train. It's still fast. And so so you have that, and then you have there's probably some equivalent with wherever people are listening from, but like a bus card for like intercity travel, a bus card that you can use on trains and basically all public transport. And also vending machines, which is cool. And purchasing some from kombinis, really, really useful. And so normally, if you are traveling between cities, and this was us traveling from Hiroshima back to Tokyo, you only want to use your Japanese rail pass because there's no point using your bus card to travel several hundred kilometers. And so where we got dropped off by the bus at Hiroshima Station, we couldn't use our JR pass to get into the station. And we didn't know how long we had to try and walk around the building to find another entrance. So we're like, fuck it, let's just use our bus pass to get into the station. And so for anyone that doesn't know how a bus pass works, normally if you tap into somewhere or tap to use something, the system expects you to tap to stop using it, like when you get off the bus or get off the train. And so we didn't do that. And so we made it all the way to Tokyo, and we tried to get out of Shibuya Station with our bus card. And that was when the system went, hey, you need to go see someone at the ticket office. I don't know what's happening with your card. And so we go and see this lovely little Japanese woman sitting behind a desk in the ticket counter who doesn't speak much English, nor do we speak much Japanese. And so I hand her my card, and she scans it, and the only word out of her mouth was Hiroshima, and then looks at me, and then tries to figure out if I've committed crimes.
Oh, no.
By somehow making it several hundred kilometers without tagging off my bus card. It was just the look of genuine concern in her eyes. And I just know that when she would have hit her like lunch break or whatever, she would have walked into the break room and been like, you have no idea what the fuck just happened. So get this, these 2 white people came in. No, it was very funny. It was all sorted. We showed her that we had bullet train tickets, and we thought about trying to explain, but she just waved us through, and we thought probably better to just chalk it up that we're just dumb foreigners and then leave it at that. But yeah, Japan, very fun. Highly recommend people go.
At least there was an active effort to try and make the situation better and explain, because I've heard many situations of people going and traveling to Japan and just going, yeah, no, fuck the rail system. I'm just going to steal a ride. Yeah,
and if you do steal a ride, you get in a lot of trouble.
So the closest that we came to doing that was, so you use Google Maps for everything, right? And Google Maps is like, catch this train from this station at this platform. You're like, yep, sweet, I can follow instructions. And so we did that. And I'm not going to say where we were or which train we tried to catch, but suffice it to say, it should have been a very easy jump. All we needed to do was jump on a train for 2 stops. And so we jump on the train, and then we look where we are on the map, and we look where the station we're trying to get to, and they're moving in opposite directions. And we're like, there is a chance we're on the wrong train. And then we hear a big smattering of Japanese come over the tannoy, and then the automated voices also go into English for people like me. And so the English voiceover says people in the car that we were in, like car 7 or whatever car number it was, is fully reserved for people with first class tickets. And we're like, we are on the wrong train. And so we just bailed out at the next station and waited for a return trip. But yeah, I can see why people would try and take advantage of the system, because it's a culture of like, there's no need to take advantage of the system, so no one expects you to. The number of times people just like leave bags places because it's so safe, you could absolutely just take advantage of that. Like you could probably just talk your way or sneak onto like buses or trains and stuff. But so much of the culture is like, well, why would you do that? Like, why would you be a bad person when you could just not?
Okay. Now you've got me really excited. I do want to go. Do
it, and then do the onsen as well. It's a weirdly enjoyable time. You get you and like 10 to 12 of your best friends, and you just all hit up the onsen together.
I'm not going to comment on that. As long as you had fun, my friend. Just like one of my Japanese animes, I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there we go.
Just say that to everyone that you meet.
Can you do on Naruto?
And you walk around waving an American dollar in their face. You're like, you know how much this is worth? And then you get punched out like that annoying streamer in that I don't remember who it was, but that video of that guy just getting knocked out to the sound of the Mario coin.
Yeah, that was so gratifying.
Yeah.
Oh, love that. Yeah, luckily we tried to be more respectful. Well, not a high bar, but we tried to just be genuinely respectful anyway. But
just not be an asshole.
Other than people being loud Australians, no one was really a dick that we saw this. That was good. Anyway, now spent a while talking about Japan. Why don't we shift gears? And okay, well, seeing as you guys have loved doing this without me, Steam chat now, Steam chat later. What are we doing? What are we feeling?
Steam chat now.
Steam chat now? All right, Steve says Steam chat now. So it's amazing. We've been going for like 20 minutes. We still haven't even hit Round the Lounge. A simple Steam chat game for you both. I have in front of me a one Exoprimal, the title.
Oh, huge.
So, in case people aren't aware, Exoprimal recently went on sale. Can't imagine why. The game was selling so strongly.
All games go on sale after 2 weeks.
It also just had a free weekend on Steam.
Oh, did it? Okay, that might factor
and the Street Fighter stuff it just came out.
Okay, because what I was gonna give you ahead of time is that the player count is up. Okay, it is up. So whatever it was before, pull a number out of your ass. It's above that. I think it's been dancing around 300-ish, which not great for
17.
A still fairly new release game. Anyway, the number that I want from you guys, there is a rather large jump from 300, and it is actually very close to the original peak players when it released. And so the original peak players is 4,522, which banger of a peak player count for a new release game. So my question is, the sale and I guess Steam free weekend and things, what do we think last 30 days peak players is? And I say pretty close to. So it is somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000. So don't guess anything too crazy. But 4,500 was the initial peak, higher or lower. And then second follow-up, I guess, is what do you think the number is?
Steven, go first.
You bastard. Oh, fuck, no, you've thrown me. I was just going to start saying things.
That's your normal defense mechanism.
Yeah, I'm going to say lower. I'm going to say 2,700.
I mean, you just told us between 4,000 and 5,000.
Oh, I thought you said it was lower than its opening one at 3,000. Am I being gaslit? I think it's 4,700.
As much fun as it is to gaslight you on
4,700.
I get that feeling. I didn't understand what you're asking. I can't understand these things.
The original is 4,500-ish.
Yes.
Do you think it's
the original
higher or
peak.
lower? And it's between 4,000 and 5,000 that we're guessing.
Yeah. Don't know where you pulled 3,000
from. Where did
I
pull? The 3,000 in the room. Maybe I just defaulted. Maybe that's how much money I want. I'm going to say lower. I'm going to say 4,207.
Okay, cool.
He's getting specific. I'm going to go higher, and I'm going to say it's not much higher, and it's probably around like 4,650.
So interestingly, Price is Right rule says that Saif is correct here. But the real answer, at least as of Steamcharts, looking at it right now, the peak players for the last 30 days is 4,976.
Oh,
nah, so close.
We have hit a new peak.
Good for Exoprimal.
Yeah, glad to see it making a comeback.
By the way, while you were gone,
slumping into the sunset.
While you were gone, and I forgot to cover this when it was announced last week, but Exoprimal announced that its next crossover event is going to be a Monster Hunter one.
But isn't Exoprimal about hunting monsters? I don't understand.
No, it's about hunting dinosaurs, which are different from monsters. But also, a fun thing they're doing is that one of the skins that you can get in the Monster Hunter collab, you get to be a Rajang.
Yo, that's sick. Oh, actually, also should have called this out as part of the Japan stuff. Went to the Capcom Cafe, ordered a bunch of like food and stuff based on Monster Hunter Now, the mobile game. It was part of a cross promotion thing, and then went to the actual Monster Hunter bar. Holy shit, what a time that is! It's basically just all sorts of drinks labeled after the different monsters, and you can also order food there and stuff. But yeah, when Japan does like a themed store or a themed like area, they go hard. They take no prisoners.
Yeah, I've seen how those themed cafes get. I've seen them for seen people post about them for like Final Fantasy, Kirby, Kingdom Hearts, and a bunch of other series. And yeah, they go all out, and they've also got a shit ton of merchandise to just drain your wallet.
They do. They really do. Oh, also,
and it's not even just to drain your wallet. They're like, if you order this, you get a random selection of like these like coasters, and if you want the whole set, you could better keep coming back.
That's so
you can order multiple drinks.
I think it's like
you can.
You can, but
the thing is, it's gacha-fied, right? So you could just get multiple of the same.
Yeah.
All right, gacha-fied. Need that fucking word.
Everything is gacha-fied in Japan. I meant to mention it as part of the rapid fire checklist. Went to USJ and went through Super Nintendo Land.
Oh, nice!
Oh, nice!
It is just as wild as all the pictures look. Do you feel weird as a 28-year-old 6'2" male walking around Super Nintendo Land punching blocks in front of children?
No.
Kinda. Does it stop you? No.
I bet you're gonna say that like it was just convenient that there was like a block and there was a children's head right behind it. So I was punching this block and this kid just got punched.
No comment. Well, I will say just on the back of that though, realizing that we are finished with the Steamcharts stuff, but I don't know where else to throw this little block. So Super Nintendo Land's really cool in that if you have a watch, which is effectively merch that you have to buy, and I did because why would you not? You can wander around Super Nintendo Land collecting keys to fight Bowser Jr. And I still am trying to process what actually happened here, but my mate and I all got the 3 keys, and so we went in, we fought Bowser Jr., and so Bowser Jr., the fight's kind of like PlayStation iToy kind of thing of you become the player, and it's like you swiping and jumping and stuff. Really, really cool, really fun. Like as a kid would have been amazing. But there was a dude who looked about 30, came in late, fought Bowser Jr., and then didn't even and just like left before the ending cutscene had played, and then it shows everyone
like 5 times a day.
Exactly, and then everyone's scores show up on screen, and that dude smoked everyone else in the room. And it's like, I get that this is your thing, but like, why? Like I thought I was doing pretty well, and my score was like 40, which I don't even know if that's good or not. But then his score was like 120, and the next highest was like 80, and it's just like, cool, man. I don't know. You've got some like game thing that you're trying to work towards. That's cool. But no, it was just quite funny. It was like, comes in late, kills Bowser Jr., refuses to elaborate, and then leaves before the ending cutscene. Anyway, Steamcharts is done. Round the lounge. So I'll go first. I was in Japan. Didn't know if I. I don't know if I mentioned that to you guys.
You should say something next time. I just thought you just didn't know.
I thought you just had a stroke.
You've just been talking.
Wait, you guys are real, right? I'm not just recording this by myself.
Not schizophrenia.
Read out your credit card number
to prove that I'm real.
No, and then I'll prove that I'm real.
Oh, I see. Yeah, gotcha.
But I'll prove that Dead's real as well.
The true human experience. So yeah, Japan for the past couple weeks, but still managed to sneak in something to talk about other than Japan. Don't know if we'll get to it this week though, because Japan's already taken up quite a bit of time. I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem on the plane over there. In fact, I have thoughts. If we talk about it this week, then cool. Otherwise, that will be what we talk about next week. Anyway, Steve, other than trying to derail the conversation into how you're going to Japan in 6 months, and I guess that's cool for you and all, but like, what else have you been up to?
Quick, you've missed it, but I've been doing like Pokemon updates because I'm trying to become a Pokemon master. I did all right on the weekend. No, yesterday.
Oh yeah, how was your tournament on Tuesday?
Yesterday's tournament was really good. I also played on Friday and Saturday as well. Did absolute dog shit. So on Friday and Saturday, I played probably 12 games and I won 3 of them, and one of them was from a bye. So not my best performance. It was just like
They're just people, Steve. You can't just like reduce them to that.
I still will. Especially when like you get the bye and it's your only fucking win. Start crying. But yeah, I just wasn't playing that well. So then on Tuesday, I was like, fuck, do I really want to go? So I ended up going. It was a mid-season showdown, so it was bigger. There was about 28 people or so. I had a great time. Played really well. There was 5 rounds and I won 2 of them. One of them I nearly won. It was just like a misclick on my end. Well, not a misclick, but just an error of judgment because it scored the end of the match. And then in one of the other matches, the guy, I versed him a couple of times and I don't know what it is, but he can literally see into my mind. Like he knows what I'm going to do. It's literally I literally just got outplayed like the whole fucking game. It's fucking frustrating as.
Punch yourself in the head to confuse him.
I think you would have
blown my brains out there because it saves some times. Oh, it's you. It's first new, cool, mad surrender. There you go. All the best. But yes, yeah. So really impressed with that performance. My next tournament is in Brisbane for the regionals. I'm going up there. I've got a hostel and stuff, so I can do it on the cheap. But yeah, in terms of other video games I've been playing Cassette Beasts, which is essentially a Pokemon ripoff that is like we've got Pokemon at home, and it's like an official release and it came out on Game Pass and stuff. It does feel like I can tell it's got the formula from Pokemon, but there's a lot of things that it's like, cool, we'll improve on this. And then it's a lot of stuff that's like, nah, let's just shit the bed with this. But I'll get into that when it's my turn to speak on the lounge. Over to you, Saif.
Yeah, so I played and finished Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I'm going to get a little controversial with that game and say I think it's a little overhyped.
Boo, this man. Popular thing bad.
Not even bad. I just think people are treating it like the second coming of Christ, and I'm just like, it's good. Not that good, but it's good.
See, what's fascinating about that is that I hummed and hawed. So I was over, first of all, really just interesting on most Japanese subways, just seeing Mario Wonder trailers just playing. Did actually get to me. I saw it in store, and I saw it in store not only for cheaper than it would cost me to buy it in store in New Zealand, but they also had a % discount on top of that for it being a new release game. I was so close to pulling the trigger on it. Some part of me still thinks I should have, because if I ever want to play it, I'm now going to lose like $30 in terms of how much I could have paid for it. But let's get into that, because everything that I heard about this suggested that this is a game that I should go and play and enjoy, but a little overhyped.
Okay, so don't get me wrong. This is definitely a game you should go play and enjoy, and it will give a lot of enjoyment. But where I'm coming from with it's a little overhyped is people coming out and saying it's a 10 out of 10 game of the year material, and I don't fully commit to that idea. I just think this is a really solid Mario game.
Wonderful.
And
boo this man.
For those that didn't get the reference, that was Professor Oak from Pokemon Snap.
I think it's it like just on top of that as well to go where I think this is. It's like this is probably the best 2D Mario game since Mario World. It beats the shit out of all of the new Super Mario Brothers games that have come out since the DS. It's got a lot of style and personality to it. It's a really fun game to just kind of play and watch. They've done a lot of little animation plays to give it more personality now. They've updated the graphics of the art style of the game to give it more flavor. They've kind of done like the animation trick that you expect from like handcrafted animation things, where the models are deformed so that they look good from one specific camera angle, and that's it. Because
there's only like one camera angle though, is there?
Yeah, and that's why they've done that, because it's just side on the entire time. Because of that, it's let them go from like the new Super Mario Brothers games, you're always seeing the characters from a side profile, and that's not as visually interesting as what they've done in this game, where you're always seeing them at like a 3/4 arm style, and you can always see both their eyes and their mouth, and it works a lot better than the new Super Mario Brothers games ever did.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this game as well. And as much as I hate platformers with a burning passion, it does sort of pique my interest a bit. Like, just because everybody's been talking about it, and I might take your point that, it's been overhyped, but I don't know. I don't know. To hear you say that it's not the second coming of Christ, I don't know.
Look, it's not the second coming of Christ, but it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Best thing since sliced bread. So, what exactly are you
just to be clear here, Saif, is the second coming of Christ better or worse than sliced bread?
Better.
Depends what you believe in, I guess.
I just want to make sure I got the scale the right way around.
But like, so what are the holes? Like, if I'm assuming you've seen other reviews of stuff as well, what's the point of difference? Like, it's as much as I want you to sort of retell the game. And maybe I'm just biased because I've heard a lot about the game, and it's essentially just a 2D Mario. You go right and you jump, except in the levels when you're underwater and you dive deeper, I guess.
That's
yeah. Is there anything more?
That's kind of it. It's 2D Mario, and 2D Mario is like platforming done very well, but it's also missing spice. Like for me, 2D Mario isn't as good as Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends, for example. And Mario Wonder, while being one of the best 2D Mario games, still doesn't hit that sort of level. If that's kind of making sense.
I don't think it does, but I think that's one of those gameplay things that I don't know. I haven't played a 2D Mario probably since the one on the original DS, and I just don't like 2D platformers. So I don't think this game
the way
is
I see
me.
2D Mario is a lot like vanilla ice cream. Vanilla ice cream is great, but there's better out there like chocolate ice cream.
What is chocolate ice cream?
Or you go to Japan and like Japanese vanilla ice cream is just better than other vanilla ice creams.
Here we go. Men go to Japan. Thing with Japan. It's like that meme.
What can I say? I'm now cultured. Konnichiwa.
It's just overall very solid, but it doesn't do too much for me to get me like really super invested in the platforming mechanics of the game. It's very good at what it does, but it doesn't push it really far. And that also comes into the point of like a lot of the game is fairly easy as well. Usually in the games, you've got like a ramping difficulty scale of it starts getting harder and harder as you get more worlds in. But then when you get halfway into this game, it goes, all right, you can pick any of the last 3 worlds that you want in any order. And so they all start at, all of them start at like a 2-star difficulty on a range of like 5 or 6 stars, I think is the maximum. So they all start off fairly easy, and then they get decently hard by the end, but not really. It's like they get more tricky with like how they want you to find secret exits and stuff like that. So yeah, it never really gets challenging in the platforming department. And yeah, it's just small stuff like that. It's just a lot of small things that compile into this could be a lot better for me personally, but it's still it's a very strong game by the end of it, just playing it. It's also got a fact of like none of the bosses are really unique. You fight Bowser Jr. a bunch of times. You have an airship boss, which is just a small corridor that you got to get through to hit a button at the end of it. The most exciting boss is just the Bowser fight at the very end, and even that's like not super interesting.
Is that like not that interesting as in, I guess like expand on not that interesting, like mechanically not that interesing?
Yeah, mechanically not that interesting and also very easy.
Right.
Oh, I'll happily rest on the formulaic aspect of it, but like what more can they do? You go right, you jump. I said it before, I'll say it now. Like,
make the boss fight 3D, coward.
Oh, hang on. But then you've got Mario 64.
We need Mario big mouth mode.
I think that's also just another thing. I think 3D Mario is probably better than 2D Mario for me.
You're right. 2D platformers are shit, Seth.
I never said that.
I think that is what Seth said, actually.
Literally read between the lines.
But yeah, mechanically interesting is just like, so Mario World had its final Bowser fight is you got to grab something, like Bowser's going around, you got to dodge his attacks. Then he throws something out for you to grab, and then you got to dodge a few things again while you try to aim and throw the little robot up onto Bowser's head. And it's pretty involved. And as a kid, I died to that a fair few times. This one is just, hey, every now and then you just need to press a jump button to take out a thing or a dodge. When you were a kid,
so if you were a kid playing this game, maybe you would have found it harder. I don't know.
Maybe, but
you literally got good, and now you're complaining about it.
But it's just looking at this is just like, hey, every now and then you just got to press a jump button to either avoid an attack or to hit. There's no like more interesting depth to it than that.
Yeah.
While like, the Mario World one had a lot of dodging and trying to be precise about it.
Yeah. Do you think it's maybe because, and I don't want to cheapen it by saying it's a kid's game, it's an all ages game. Do you think that's kind of reflected in this?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think they still could have pushed it a little bit more in the difficulty department because there's only like 2 levels in the game that I think are fairly difficult. The the rest of them, the difficulty comes from, we made this a little tricky in how we have a hidden exit in it. Can you find the hidden exit? But yeah, that's enough like kind of being down on the game. I think a lot of what it does well is done really well. Like all of the Wonder Flower gimmicks are a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of them that are just like, hey, we've shifted the perspective of the level a little bit. So instead of being a 2D platformer, now you're a top-down adventure sort of game. There's some that make the levels into musical levels that have a bit of rhythm to it. Some of them change you into the worst ones in the game, so the ones that change you into a Goomba and you just walk really slowly and have no jump ability, and you just got to figure out how to get through the level as a Goomba.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, they do a lot of fun stuff with the Wonder Flower effects. Every single level has one. They do repeat some effects, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. There's enough variety in there that it keeps the game fresh. Yeah, those are a lot of fun. The elephant power is kind of whatever, but it's fun to just have the ability to just attack anything that's right in front of you. And the new drill power up that they've done in this game seems to be a speedrunner's wet dream, because you just dig into the floor or dig into a roof and you go at like double the speed while avoiding everything.
So overall, because you're talking about how 3D is just sort of better than 2D. So if they took the same, because they took a lot of liberties with just basically just having fun with the mechanics, right? If they'd done that in a 3D game, do you think it would have been better? Or is it kind of the best of what they have within a 2D game and it's just not quite the second coming of Christ?
I think it's that they don't push the ideas far enough. It's fine in a 3D game, it'd still be about the same. It's just that what's here is like they got it to an acceptable level where it's like very polished and very good. But they could have pushed some things a little further to just make them either a little more interesting or a little more difficult, because it feels like they get to a point where, in terms of difficulty and being used to a mechanic, they got it to just to the point of like the middle ground of being just acceptable, and then they never hit that last gear to make it really challenging. And like you get through a section and you kind of have like that sigh of relief of like, I did it. Sort of feeling.
Right. So quick follow-up question to that. If I pull one of the 10-year-olds I have living in my basement up to the microphone right now and asked him if it was difficult, let's not focus on that part. But if I was to ask them after playing Super Mario Wonder whether they thought it was too easy, do you think they would agree?
I think it depends on like the person's aspect with games. Like it seems like what you're trying to say, Saif, is that the way that Nintendo's designed this game, it's designed to be approached. Whoops, just dropped my phone. That's going to fuck up the audio.
I thought that was the 10-year-old trying to escape. You know what? No, I'm not going to dig that hole any further.
By the way,
you dug it deep enough.
No, it's just a tomb.
Those kids are dug it deep enough. It seems like that Nintendo's tried to go more of a all ages, all game history type of thing. Like they're trying to get everybody to play this game. With the amount of Switches they've sold, like a bajillion.
The game's already sold like 4.3 million.
Yeah, and how many Switches are there? 1% probably.
At least 4.4 million.
I think it's at 130 million.
Yeah, it's all those stats. Yeah, so it's like what, just under 1%? Just over 1% of people own this game. I guess fucking huge stat considering some people own it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it seems like what you're trying to say is that they've made everything a lot more, I don't want to say accessible because I don't think that's fair.
Approachable.
But approachable, better. There you go, there. Fantastic word. But it's like at the same time, they sort of alienated the, I don't want to use it, hardcore game.
The true gamers.
Yeah.
But it's also like...
You're right, Seth.
The main story being approachable is fine. Where the disappointment really sets in is the special worlds. Like if you've played 3D World or even the new Super Mario Brothers games, you have like this whole Star Road at the end where they have like all these really ball-bustingly difficult levels. In this game, they have levels where they take some of the Wonder Flower gimmicks and try to push them to an extreme, and they don't really hit that level of being super difficult. Maybe for a child they'll be more difficult and they'll spend a fair bit of time on it, but yeah, for me personally, they
for gamers like myself,
for me personally, it didn't hit super hard. And then like the champion road level of this game wasn't as satisfying as previous Champion Road levels either.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think that helps contextualize where you're coming at it from, because it is always funny to me that, like, I've had this discussion with a few other people where I enjoy a game and I play through a game, but because I'm not dying repeatedly, someone will always ask, why don't we just turn the difficulty up and make it harder? It's like, no, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's just when the part of the game that should be challenging isn't challenging is where I'm coming from. Yeah, sorry, it took like 15 minutes to get that point driven to the right direction.
Hey, the audience and the 10-year-old kid, thank you for finally getting there.
But yeah, no, overall, it's still like super enjoyable. I do like playing the game a lot. Like, it just feels good to play. The gimmicks in it are fun. They do a lot of interesting things with the new enemy types in the game. I do want to say the new toad replacements, the poplins, I think they're called. They suck.
Hey, wait. What do you mean they replaced Toad?
So this game takes place in a flower kingdom instead of the mushroom kingdom. So instead of mushroom citizens, we've got little flower seed people.
I don't like this.
Yeah, I've seen those pictures.
Don't worry, weird. I also dislike them because, hey, Bowser came. He's prepared.
Good for him.
Oh no, he failed. No, not November.
He's preparing a doomsday weapon to unleash a mega wonder all over the kingdom.
Oh, no, that's what he called it.
And
Jesus.
I get to the third world, and there's this poplin that's like, "Oh, hey, I'm like the master of this area. I'm going to go from my final area where the royal seed is, and come introduce myself at the beginning of the world." Yeah, I'm just flying right past that. Don't worry. We'll get there. And so he starts talking to me at the beginning of the world, and it's the little prince that's with me. He's like, "So the world's in danger. Can we just have the royal seed and leave?" And the poplin's like, nah, you have to pass my trials to get it. I could give it to you, but I'm not going to. You have to earn it. It's like, my brother in Christ, your kingdom's in danger. Just give me the MacGuffin so I can leave.
But then we don't get a cool training montage with Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy, or whoever Princess Peach. I forgot.
It was Anya Taylor-Joy. You got that right.
Cool.
It would have been embarrassing if you said like Scarlett Johansson or something.
Yeah, it would have been. Seth, don't edit that in. Cool. Any other sort of bits that you want to hit on, or we start wrapping up? We start giving it a score, perhaps.
I think that's good. I think that's good enough. Yeah, I think it's overhyped, but it's still very, very good. It's not going to get a 10. It's like an 8 for me.
Yeah, it sounds like you're describing a solid 8. I mean, hey, nothing wrong with 8s. You know what they say? 8s get degrees.
Why was 6 scared of 7?
It's still a highly recommendable game, and I do advise people to go play it because it is just generally fun.
I'm now upset that I didn't. Thank you, Steve. I'm now upset that I didn't get it when I was in Japan. I was eyeing that up, and I was eyeing up Tears of the Kingdom, and you know what? I didn't buy either of them, like an absolute buffoon, despite both being cheaper than getting them here. Oh well, that's on me. To be honest, that was something that crossed my mind of surely it's the same cartridge, so it has different language options, but I also wasn't willing to risk it. Anyway, thank you for that, Saif. Why don't we change tack? I'll quickly interject actually with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sword on the Plane. I was kind of into it, both from the animation style. I'm talking about like seeing trailers initially. Both the animation style and the writing. I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. And in the classic "you're on a plane somewhere" fashion, a movie that is normally only in cinemas is also available on the plane. So I watched it, and I quite enjoyed it. Actually, I only disrupted the people around me, I think, 3 times from laughing. But
are they good laughing or bad laughing? Like laughing at it or laughing with it?
I think laughing with it mostly. There were a couple bits where it felt a little like. kind of thinking about rehashing the like, I can see why kids would enjoy this, but a true movie connoisseur.
It's got a teenage cringe. There's a very particular scene I've seen of that movie where it's like, Oh, I'm cringing at this, but I get it because this is what teenagers are like.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that, and also just kind of like slightly contrived writing, which is that like you see the pieces coming together and you're like, yeah, okay, I know what's coming, and like you still enjoy it, but it's like it's not gonna do anything too crazy or surprising.
Yeah, it's movie 101 or trope 101.
A little, but it's not necessarily a bad thing because it does just make it entertaining. It's kind of just switch brain off, enjoy. Yeah,
Are you a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan?
Not really. Well, it's not that I'm not a fan. It's more just like it was always on the periphery of me growing up. Like it'd be you catch some Saturday morning cartoon with it on, or the occasional like there's always someone repping like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle merch or like a shirt or something at like school and that kind of thing. But I didn't actively. Yeah.
TMNT is just a forever franchise at this point. Like I think it's started in the 80s, and it's just every 5 or so years it gets a reboot that hits a new generation of kids.
And that's sort of where I'm at with it as well, which is just like I know about it. I've known about it for years. I haven't actively sorted out or anything, but I appreciated it. I didn't think like I don't know if it does anything weird like canonically that a whole bunch of true fans are up in arms about, because I don't know, nor do I particularly care. But no, it was just a fun movie, and the animation style was quite cool. It was interesting in that I admittedly was watching this on the back of a plane seat, so it wasn't like I could really experience the quality of the film because plane seat TVs are ass. But it gave me a little bit. I know what I can see what they're trying to do animation wise. Like little bits of it were like I can see how this is kind of trying to take a few things that say Into the Spider-Verse does, just as like fun animation bits and pieces, and try to like make it their own thing, which was cool. Yeah, and the writing, I mean, other than the sort of tropiness, it's still it makes me feel young at heart being able to laugh at most of the jokes. So I mean, I didn't mind that too much. Yeah, overall,
is it like smart jokes, or is it like teenage sex joke?
I mean, it's a Seth Rogen movie, so it's probably got some ha-ha weed jokes in there too.
True.
See, the interesting thing is, I know he's like a producer on it, and I think I saw his name somewhere in the voice acting credits. I don't quite remember.
I think he might be like one of the mutants, like Bebop or Rocksteady or something. Actually, no, I think John Cena was Rocksteady.
The Turtles?
He's definitely not any of the Turtles.
Is he Splinter?
No, Jackie Chan is Splinter.
That's Jackie Chan. He's definitely
really?
Not.
Holy shit, huge.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Huge typecasting there. What the fuck?
And so I think one of my favorite jokes is like, I know that it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler or anything, but the 4 turtles have snuck out, and then one of them confesses to Jackie Chan, and the other one goes like, "Oh, you ratted us out," and of course, because Splinter is a rat, he's like, "Hey, we don't use that word." Still funny to me.
And to half answer Steven's question, they got like actual teenagers to voice the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
I don't know any of their names, but they're all like actual like 15-year-olds, 15 to 16-year-olds, I think.
Like it's funny because you hear their voices and you're like, they sound too young to play teenagers, and you realize no, it's just because normally they get older people playing teenagers.
Yeah, I think some of them you can actually hear their voices like kind of breaking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can hear a couple of them squeak just while going through it. But yeah, overall, I thought it would be a bit of dumb fun, and it was a bit of dumb fun. I do actually recommend it, particularly for people who are kind of like, oh yeah, I know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you don't have to be a super fan to enjoy it. It's just fun.
Yeah, you can be a regular fan.
It's been on my watch list for a while because, yeah, just in general, I really like animated movies, and I do enjoy Ninja Turtles enough. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, it was a similar kind of thing for me. Like, I knew that it was in the cinemas. I wasn't, like, if I happened to have a free afternoon, I might have gone to see it at the cinemas, but it was just like, I'm on this plane to Japan for, I went to Japan, by the way, in case you didn't know, but I'm on this flight to Japan for like 10 hours, 11 hours. So the fact that they have a movie that I was kind of wanting to watch on here anyway, sick. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about that. Why don't we jump over to Steve regaling us the tales of Cassette Beasts, which to be honest, sound kind of like a DLC island in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but hit us with it.
Not in the slightest.
Not in the slightest. Not even once.
Not even. Back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board of ye. Cassette Beast came out earlier this year. I know. Stephen playing a 2023 game. Huge. Yeah, May 25th.
Did not hear about this.
It came out for the PC on April 26th, and then for Xbox and Switch on May 25th. And it was a day one Xbox Game Pass game, and I heard a lot of positive things about it. It is a Pokemon inspired game. I think they're called Monster Tamer Games is the official, or not official, but like is the...
Oh, so it's a Temtem ripoff.
Yeah, exactly. A Temtem ripoff, which is in turn a Yokai Watch ripoff, which is in a ripoff of Digimon. All fucking
which is a ripoff of Ben 10 Alien Force.
There you go. Another Monster Tamer game.
Which is also a ripoff of Generator Rex. Which
is also a ripoff of Paw Patrol. Yeah, no.
Which is also a ripoff of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Anyway, so I'm not going to get involved with the story, but the story is that you have washed up on this island, and everybody else has washed up on this island at other periods of time, and you're kind of trying to find out the mystery of like, why do people keep washing up on this island? What's going on here?
What's going on? Them into the ocean.
Who keeps throwing them into the ocean? Like, where are we? How do we get off this island? And there are these monsters roaming the world called beasts. And to tame those beasts, stay with me here, you record them to a cassette, and stay with me, and you've got like a tape player, and then you put in the cassette and you turn into the beast you've recorded, I think is what they use. It's a very interesting mechanic until you sort of like, and the game does sort of flesh it out. So
hear me out. It's like Balan's Wonderworld, except with a cassette player.
You're not wrong, but yes. So combat is like turn-based, so it's usually you and a buddy. Like you get a buddy that you can match up with. They have their own beast, or cassette beast, and you can sort of swap it out, give them their own beast, take their beast away because they've got really good and rare beasts, and then give them a shit beast, and then disband them and get the actual person you like.
Yeah,
it's very, very funny.
Love that strat.
Yeah, but then so it's like there's 2 on your team, and then there can be up to 3 beasts on the other sort of side of the field, or you could be going up against other cassette beast trainers, cassette beast users, and it sort of becomes either like a 2-on-1 or a 2v2 or even a 3-on-2. And it's kind of interesting when you're versing up against like other trainers because so it's split into, there's your health as the health that your character has, and then there's the health of the beast that you transform into. Once your cassette beast is out of health, there's a brief period of time before you can switch in a new cassette beast, and you can get hit with other attacks, and that will whittle like your health down, and that health is 0. It's not a game over, but it's just like that player can't act for the rest of this battle. So it's pretty interesting if you're up against someone that's like really tough. If you plan correctly, you can essentially knock out the cassette beast, and then your buddy comes through and does like a shit ton of damage to the cassette beast tamer, and then drops their health down to 0, which means they won't send out their other cassette beasts or won't transform into it. It's pretty interesting. It's just fucking weird though when you really think about it. Like,
so can I just get this straight? So other monster taming franchises like let's say Pokemon, for example, the one that we're all familiar with.
Hold on. I just want to get one thing straight. This doesn't sound like a monster tamer. It sounds like Animorphs.
That's what I was getting to, Seth. Is that monster taming, you're battling with creatures that you have tamed and controlled, whereas it sounds like here you transform into something and literally beat another person to death.
Yes, but they've transformed as well, so it's play-ons are cool. Yeah, you're right, but it's still
can you ever transform into Seth, thin ice.
You've been to Japan. You know what Kamen Rider is now.
So if I were to transform into a cassette beast, could I attack another person before they transform? In which case, like how does that work? Is that
get that sneak attack bonus?
Like it's like the sneak attack bonus, but it's also like if I find a cassette of a pit bull and then transform into it, am I just like lasering in on children, or like what am I doing here?
Yes and no. Like it's as long as they're transformed, you can't really hit. You're not hitting them. You're hitting the cassette. Then when the cassette drops to 0, you can hit them, but there's only it's like one turn before they transform into it.
So their cassette drops to 0, and I say I attack their life points directly, and then fucking kill them as a beast that I've dressed up as.
Pretty much, yeah, you're not wrong. And there's a couple of times where like I'll be a little bit over leveled to the area, and I'll do like a multi attack. So let's say I hit 5 times. The first 2 will knock out the cassette piece, and I got 3 more attacks left, and they're going straight towards them. It's like, oh,
But yeah, they're just missing teeth.
Yeah, after like 1 attack. It's pretty grim when you think about it. But
that sounds fucking brutal, actually.
Yeah, and you can definitely, especially because it's a weird Pokemon spin-off, they've got their equivalent of gym leaders, which are called rangers. And like they're a bit harder for reasons I'll get into later. But yeah, and our way to outmaneuver them is to be like, okay, I'll drop their cassette beast to like 0, and because it's sort of like a overflow damage. If the cassette beast is on like 1 and I do 50 damage to it, it takes 1 damage, and then the person takes like 49 damage. So I've taken a big chunk out, and my other one comes in and just beats the shit out of him. It's like, cool, whoa, I won. I beat your gym master puzzle. And that is a way to play. You do have to position yourself very well for it, and it can get a bit hard. But the thing that really shines with this game, and I say shines in a way because it's a very different point of like uniqueness. It's because there is, of all the different types, you've got like beast, astral, poison, air, plastic, metal, fire, water, ice. So you got all the standard ones, but it's like how they interact. So for example,
my guy really just threw plastic out there and said, you've got all the standard ones.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
So for example, if you got your standard one, so let's say a fire beast, there's no consistent thing. So a fire beast uses a fire attack on grass type, of course, it's going to get burned and it's going to take damage every turn. But if you use a fire type attack on a water type attack, it gets steam healing. So it heals for 3 turns, which is pretty interesting. And it's also similar to, or not similar, but like weird type of interactions. Like if you're using, I think an air attack on an electric type, the electric type gets a status effect called a conductive, I think it's what it's called, which means because it's conducting electricity, all of its next attacks will hit all the opponent's party. Like instead of like targeting 1, it'll target 3, which is pretty interesting, which means you can get to some, it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to use a lightning attack on myself so that the air beast does like 40 damage to everything on the screen. It's pretty interesting. It's a lot to sort of take in and digest. And it's kind of ones that like sort of make sense. Like if you use a fire attack on plastic, because if you burn plastic, it turns into like noxious air. I think it makes the plastic a poison type, which is kind of a bit different.
I mean, it makes the plastic a poison type, but you've also just fucking melted the plastic cassette beast, haven't you?
Pretty much, yeah. But because it's a poison type now, if a poison type uses an attack on a fire type, it counts as fuel, which means the fire type bonus goes up. There's a lot of it's a lot of like weird interactions, and it's kind of a lot of things that it's like, oh, okay, that sort of makes sense. But then you'll do other things, and it's like, no, I don't know why that's a thing.
Do you get like dual typing, or is everything monotyped?
No, so everything is monotype, but very big heavy caveat here is like one of the core mechanics it introduces to you is fusions. So you can fuse with your
Pokemon fusions.
Yeah,
let's go.
Pretty much. So there, I think, are about 130 individual cassette beasts. And when you're with your partner,
130. Come on, Pokemon got 150 back in the 90s.
Well, no. Hang on a second. If you let me finish. So
never.
All right, good, Matt. All right, good. You can finish it then, big fella. Fucking idiot.
Yeah. So go. I'm pretty sure I know what Steven's going to get into next because I looked at the Steam page, but there's also fusions. So you can take 2 cassette beasts and turn them into 1.
No, it doesn't work like that. So you essentially fuse with your partner. So instead of having 2 on your side of the field, there's only 1, and then you become a dual type. But the way that it works is I'm not sure if it's procedurally generated or if they've made like a unique fusion for each of them. All fusions are unique. So let's say I don't want to read out any of these names because they're all shit. Let's say I've got a Carna Viper and I fuse it with a traffic crab. It creates something that's a poison plastic type. And is unique in the sense of the stats are combined. The design is different, but a combination of both of them, and you've only got 1 health bar.
I love the idea that somewhere in the world of this game, you have a cassette beast ready to go, and you're like, I'm going to transform into traffic crab.
Also, in traffic crab, it's literally like a crab with a traffic cone on its head. and then that evolves into Weaver Light, which looks like a little crab with a traffic light for a head. And of course, that evolves into Lobstacle, which is a weird little lobster thing that's just made out of like traffic cones and obstacles you'd find on the road. The names are pretty cool. I'll give them that. You've got a cat with a TV for a head, and it's called Kitelli. And naturally, that evolves into something called Cat 5, like a Cat 5 cable. You've got a dog one that's called Papa Cut, and then that evolves into Southpaw, and it's all dog based. But
Papa
my favorite
is like that's so good actually.
Yeah, but my favorite
way to use that.
My favorite of all, and I think I've seen 50 of them. My favorite is the what's it called? Hang on, I'm looking it up here. The Bulletino line. So you got Bulletino, which is literally a bullet, and then that evolves into Velocirifle, which is a T-Rex with a like a gun for a head, and then that evolves into Artillerex, which is essentially a big fucking gun with a cannon in its chest and no arms. It's pretty cool what they've done with the designs of the beast, and they do sort of feel a bit unique. But there are like a couple of dumb ones. Like there's this scuba seal one. I think it's here it is, dive eel. It's literally a seal with one of those old timey diving helmets on, and then that evolves into Scubalorus, which is a walrus with the same fucking thing. There are some things where it like doesn't really do a lot.
Wait. It's a walrus with the same thing. And do the tusks go through the front of the mask?
Yes, it does. Or at least underneath the mask or something.
You leave my boy Scubalorus alone. He did nothing wrong.
I think it looks fucking dumb. But yeah, so and that's sort of like the general premise of the game. You're finding out this mystery. You're going and beating all the gym leaders, and there's a couple of other sort of side quests as well. And it throws a lot of side quests at you to the point where like it's like, hey, you're in this town. If you see someone with an exclamation mark on your head, talk to them. They'll give you a quest. And before you know it, you've got like 7 different quests in different directions, and you're like, which way do I go here? Like, and it doesn't like they do sort of sort it into main quests and side quests. But it doesn't really dictate which one you should do first. Like, of course, you want to do a bunch of side quests because some of the side quests will lead you to main quests, or it's just, hey, I just want to see what this goes. But then, like, you do 2 or 3 of those, and before you know it, you're like over leveled. And actually, so, like,
on that, how do you like catch cassette beasts, or like what's the mechanic for actually gaining them?
They must have thought long and hard about this one, but you record them. So you,
okay, no, I know you mentioned that. I mean, like, yeah, but like, what is that like? Because I assume some of the side quests are like, oh, if you do the side quest, then you get to go and encounter a particular beast or something would be my guess. So like,
crafting. No? They give you crafting materials. Because crafting materials are currency. Yeah, I know. But it's not crafting, but it's just like a lot of materials that you like. Instead of giving you 1 currency, they give you like 6. So let's say like if you visit a campsite, you have to spend wood to rest up, which is essentially a Pokemon Center. Or if you want to buy, they call the moves on these stickers, because you put stickers on the cassette tape. Those cost rubble, I think it's. And if you want to buy like medicine, that costs something else. Like it just doesn't make sense why they've done it like this.
It's the bane of Western indie developers. They always got to do some sort of crafting system or multiple currencies.
They didn't need it. I don't really like it. But to answer the question, how you get them, so you record them. So you put a blank tape in and you record the cassette. It takes 1 turn to record. And then while one of your party is recording it, they have to because they have to take the tape out and put a blank tape in to record it in. They have to get rid of their disguise, so to speak, which makes them vulnerable. But the other one, who's still transformed, can attack it, which makes the percentage chance of recording it going up. And that kind of makes it a bit interesting. But then like the RNG will be like, oh, okay, I'm attacking the person that's recording, and then it goes down. But you can't really dictate which way it's going to go. And it kind of feels balanced. Like I'm not just throwing Pokeballs at it and all the best. It's like, okay, I've got ways to increase the chances, but there's ways to decrease the chances. But it's kind of interesting in that kind of sense. But I don't know whether it's percentage. I'm just really lucky in this game. But it's been like a lot of like, I try to catch it and it only goes record it and it goes up to 30%. And then it's like, oh, you caught it. And I'm like, I've done like 6 of those 30%ers in a row. What's going on here? I don't want to go too far because I am halfway through this game and I'll probably come back to it next week. But it does have a problem with sort of like quest direction. I'm kind of stuck on. I know where to go to do a quest. I just don't know what the main quest is because it gives you like 4 of them to do at once. Which, because I've done a bunch of side quests, I'm like really over leveled for like all the wild sort of beast roaming around, but then I'll encounter a ranger, and it seems like those positions they scale, but they'll scale up, I think, but they'll be 4 or 5 levels below me, and that seems a bit weird. There's a whole bunch of like weird angel things that are just sort of like super boss battles, and those can get really difficult. But yeah, and they've got like weird overworld things as well. So for example, going back to Bulletino, because I've recorded a Bulletino, I get like an overworld power to like run really fast and to shoot myself into like rocks and stuff to break it. And that's pretty cool, but there's no real, you don't know what's going to give you a power or not. Like I don't know how many powers there are. Like there's a hang glider type of thing. There's a bullet thing. There's a magnet thing that I've got. And it's like, I didn't know that recording this was going to give me something. So it's sort of encouraging you to record as many as you can. But then sometimes it's like recording for the sake of recording. Like I've got my favorites, and that's kind of it. And one last thing before I go, it's very interesting on how you can evolve. So the experience is split sort of 2 ways. There's the experience that your character gets, and that's the main level. But each cassette can be rated up to 5 stars. And after it gets a certain experience, it'll like star up, for instance. And then once it hits 5 stars, you have to go back to camp and rest, and then that evolves it. And that's kind of interesting, as in like you don't, just because you get a new cassette beast doesn't mean you have to spend time leveling it up, because your character is already 32, like level 32, for example, and that carries it over with your own sort of base stats. It's kind of a unique way to do it, and I do really like it, because I'll pick something up and whoa, that's a really cool one. Like I want to use this one. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's fantastic. I am having some really weird performance issues with it as well, like to the point where like if I enter a cave or I exit a building, like the loading times would be like 10 seconds. And considering this is like a 2.5D game, it's on the Xbox Series X, like it's such a long time to load. Like it probably takes longer to load than Starfield does. And I'm like, that's really, it's just awkward and abrupt. I'm just not a big fan of it. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the 2.5D diorama art style for it, but it's growing on me the more I play it. So I hated it when I first started it, and I'm warming up to it. So I might finish it off, like finish reviewing it next week, but it's probably an 8 out of 10 so far. Like it's a definite check it out if you're a fan of like the monster taming sort of genre. But if you're not really a big fan of them, it doesn't really do anything new. But yeah, and it's on Game Pass as well. So Game Pass Chads cannot stop winning.
All right, cool. I can't wait to hear about what cassette beast you want to turn into next week.
Muskratty. It's a mascot. It's a rat on top of like a...
you were caught. Patrick was just outing you as a furry.
I was about to have so much respect for you if you said you're a rat, but you're controlling Linguini from the hit film Ratatouille.
That'd be funnier.
But that's disappointing. Anyway, I guess that's the end for Run the Lunch for this week. Thank you to you both, as always. Not thanking you for running this fucking podcast without me. That still hurts and smarts. And
we told you. You said it was fine as long as Steven didn't host.
Did he host?
Yeah, I did. I was really good.
So it's not fine, Seth.
Look, I tried, but he kind of like, he tied me into a corner and then started, so I just had to roll with it.
What a weird way of phrasing that sentence.
I was gagged.
All right, knock it off.
It wasn't like
commercial.
It wasn't even my own sock that he used.
Cut to commercial.
It wasn't even for the podcast. He just wanted you gagged. Anyway, we have finished our part 1 for this week, which means we have to move on to part 2 for this week, which is of course the news. Steve handed me a note in the break that said I need to do like a corporate spot. We got corporate sponsors now, or a sponsorship segment.
I am cutting all of this out. We are not doing that again.
I want to reference it midway through the news thing, so you can cut it out. Or people just think I'm just unhinged.
I have the sponsor in front of me. Episode 98 of the Fast Travel Lounge is brought to you by Steve's Ball Gags. There's only one size, Seth mouth size, but they have excellent mouth feel and they are machine washable. So if you want to get a Seth Ball Gag of your own, head down to stevesexdungeon.com and use promo code FTL for 69% off in the checkout. That's promo code FTL at stevesexdungeon.com. Thank you very much for the sponsorship, Steven. Very, very big of you.
Fun fact, I'm still not getting paid for that.
Can't wait for the merch drop of the cat ears, which I've heard is coming late fall 2024. Anyway,
that's CUMMING.
Yes,
Don't you have a segue to do? You got your job. Let me do mine.
First up in the news stories to get through today. Oh boy, it's gonna be a rough one. All right. So we have news about the Under Night 2 beta, which I know nothing about. What is this?
Under Night is one of the more popular anime fighters that are out there. I believe it was a main stage.
That would be why I don't know about this.
I believe it was a main stage Evo game
It's
this year or
Mark
last year,
System's
actually.
game. Fucking hell.
No, it's published by Arc System, but it's by developer French Bread. They're like one of the last holdouts of sprite-based games at the moment, and their sprite work is really fantastic as well. Under Night's a really fun game. Under Night 2 has been long anticipated, and yeah, they're just doing a beta for it on November 17 to 20, which I think is around the same time that Granblue was doing their beta. I need to double check that.
Interesting. Is this something that you're interested in, Saif?
Yeah, very, very interested in this. I've now that I'm done Mario and Spider-Man, I've got a lot of free time actually to just try these sort of things out. And no, double checked it. Granblue is November 9 to November 12, so it's this week.
Is that something you're interested in? And actually, I realize we're going to end up saying November 9th to 12th, and chances are people hearing this, it'll be well past that date anyway.
I talked about this beta happening last week, so last week's episode is out now. So if you've listened, you got heads up now. And the Granblue one is a cross-play one as well. So yeah, I'm interested in that. I'll probably download it on both Steam and PS5 and just see how it performs on both my machines and make a decision on which platform to buy it on there.
Nice. And much like deciding which King of Consoles you have, there's some King of Fighters news, some DLC perhaps.
Yeah.
Something that you want to talk us through this one. You're basically going to be talking about all the fighting game stuff. I'm so out of the loop on this.
Yeah, I'll just quickly run through them all back to back then. I think it was last week as well, we talked about Hinako Shijo being teased. She's a high schooler that's...
teased on, that's bullying.
She
The trailer was literally just her being bullied.
No, she's bullying other people, actually. Like, she's just forcing her will against them. Yeah, she's a small, petite high school girl that does sumo. So it's like, yeah, it's a character and fighting style that you don't anticipate together, which makes it like a really fun combination. And yeah, she's been missing for a long time, so everyone's excited for her to come back. And they just announced she's going to be releasing November 14 with a new gameplay trailer for her to just see how she plays. And she looks fun. Gonna have to jump into KO 15 for that sometime as well. Next up, Mortal Kombat 1 announced that Omni-Man is going to be coming out November 9th for Combat Pack owners, and in November 16 for everyone to just play through and buy him. Yeah, they also dropped a gameplay trailer for him, more extended. He looks fan-fucking-tastic. I'm pretty excited to give him a try. Like, I'm not big on the Mortal Kombat style of games, but Omni-Man was one of the characters I've wanted to try when he got announced, so I'll definitely give him a go. See how that...
So, do you actually have Mortal Kombat 1?
My brother has it. I think he has a combat pass, so I'm just going to do like the Steam library share to try it out.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm in a similar boat of like, I enjoy the occasional Mortal Kombat game, and I think I own one of the games on one of the platforms. It's all a bit of a blur, but yeah, Omni-Man, and then knowing that one of the follow-ups is also Homelander somewhere in the pipeline, I am tempted on the strength of Omni-Man alone to just straight up buy Mortal Kombat 1 if I knew that I would have the time to play it.
Of all of the fighting games, Mortal Kombat is like my least favorite. But yeah, Omni-Man is strong enough to make me go, yeah, no, I'm going to give this a try.
Especially having like, why have I already fucking blanked on his name?
J. Jonah Jameson.
It is J. Jonah Jameson. Okay, I don't know why I was second guessing myself, but like to have him actually just fucking back in the studio voicing the character for Mortal Kombat rather than just reusing lines.
Yeah, no, they actually got his voice actor in J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons,
yeah,
yes.
That's him, yeah.
That's who's J. Jonah Jameson? That's one of his characters, right?
Yeah, he's a Daily Bugle president.
Yeah, okay.
I want pictures of Spider-Man. That's him.
Can't believe, like, I heard the J and I'm like, that sounds right. Thought about it a bit more. I'm like, no, J.K. Simmons.
To be fair, J.K. Simmons is just Jameson at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure the comics have just made him Jameson as well. I do also appreciate that Omni-Man's fatality is just the train sequence from Invincible.
Yeah.
Except since it's not Mark, they actually do die to the train.
It's Stephen Rant time. This game came out like literally 6 weeks ago. It's got like the first DLC is coming out like now or next week, but you get it early if you bought the combat pack. What the fuck? Like, oh god damn it! And people just doing this. I hate fighting games so much. What a shitty monetization. Obviously, the character was ready to go at release, but it's included in release. I guess they got to make money, but I don't like it. That's why Stephen Rant.
I think every time we Street Fighter came out like a month after that game launched.
A month? Disgusting. Like, whatever.
Okay, counterpoint.
No.
It's okay, fine. Just fucking move on then.
Okay, what's your counterpoint? I feel bad.
Well, is that
defend the $1 billion corporation?
Yeah, here we go. No, is that because it's such an obvious DLC character type, right? Like, I get the issues with like having it a week early if you're on like Combat Pass and all that stuff, but in terms of being a DLC character versus just being ready to release day one, it would seem kind of weird to me if your Mortal Kombat game, which is, what are we calling it? Like, not a reboot, like a restart because it's Mortal Kombat 1, if it has all the characters you know and love, and also as part of and also as part of the core roster, it just has Omni-Man from a different franchise. Like, that would seem kind of odd to me if that was just like base game included. So
I mean, Mortal Kombat 9 had Kratos in it,
and that's weird. That's not a reason to continue the trend, Seth. Yeah, I'm saying that shit's weird too.
No, it just feels like 6 weeks later.
With fighting games, it's one of those things where do you draw the line? Because at this point, fighting games are games as a service, and they're just always got characters in the pipeline to keep games going for the entire console generation. So
you know what? Put Minecraft Steven.
At some point, that works really well for Smash. It actually broke Twitter. So at some point they need to release the game. And anyway. It's just like that point of they've always got things in development to keep the game alive, and even though it is quick, it's like, they kind of have to be quick because they don't want to lose the player base too much. So yes, that is my defending the $1 billion corporation moment.
It's been 6 weeks. I don't know. As someone who doesn't play fighting games, like
6 weeks is a long time for fighting games. People drop off fast, and that's why they're doing Omni-Man first, because he's a character that will keep casual players around.
True, and introduce casual players like me. Anyway, pardon my French. I agree with Steve. It is a bit bullshit. But speaking of French, Tekken 8 is getting French with the addition of Victor Chevalier.
Yep.
Why is 6 scared of 7?
You know the crazy part? You've made that joke 3 times. I did not think you had it in you to make a callback to a why is 6 afraid of 7 joke 3 times in this episode.
And he fucked them up every time as well.
It's genuinely impressive how I guess just like
so good.
But yeah, good old Victor here is a brand new character for the Tekken franchise. He is also being played by and modeled after a popular French actor. Give me 1 second to get voiced by Vincent Cassel. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that he's in. I think he's like literally just for French movies. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that they got like a big name to try and make this a bigger character.
Does he just as soon as he walk in, does he just surrender or something?
Unfortunately not. He's like he is a CIA agent mixed with Sam from Metal Gear Rising.
Oh, hang on.
So yeah, he looks really interesting. He's doing a lot of future tech moves and like close combat knife combos. He's also got a katana to use and a gun. He looks pretty dang sick. I think this is like their way of trying to keep some of the work they did on Noctis in Tekken 7 around in this game.
Oh yeah, Noctis in Tekken 7.
Yeah, that was a really weird one too. So yeah, if this is their way of keeping some of Noctis's moveset in the game, I'm kind of happy with that because I did enjoy Noctis in Tekken 7. And yeah, interesting seeing him. He looks fun. The last character they're announcing for Tekken 7 is going to be announced in a week as well. And then we'll do the thing in like 2 months where Steven hates it and we start talking about the season pass for this game.
Yep. I'm already ready. Put it in the chamber.
Speaking of chambers, Remnant 2 is getting some DLC. The Awakened King launching November 14. Oh man, I'm just back on my Segway game today. Fuck yes. Anyway, so
you have no idea how much I miss them.
This looks interesting. So Remnant 2, I talked about how it was a game that I initially didn't really get and then I really fell in love with and then had to physically stop myself from wasting all my time on it. And now I'm you know that Lois Griffin meme with the bottle of pills on the table and she's eyeing it up, like seeing the DLC is announced and then it's coming out next week. That's me. I'm now Lois Griffin looking at that pill bottle. But this is adding bunch of stuff, adding new area, so basically new location, which means new dungeons, more equipment, unexpected allies, face new threats, and eventually you're going to find and defeat the one true king. So I'm very excited by this. I haven't even finished my second playthrough of Remnant 2. I've been
You've been in
verbally
Japan.
well, not even that. I've been verbally contracted into not playing it until a friend of mine picks it up on what will hopefully for the both of us be some kind of sale coming up soon, because I really want to get back into playing it. And somewhat understandably, my mate doesn't want me to become too crazy over-leveled for when he eventually picks it up and plays it. So we'll see if I can keep true to my word. But yeah, I think I knew that there was Remnant DLC coming. I didn't realize that, I guess with Japan that was 3 weeks, but didn't realize that it would be this soon. Because released June, July, I think.
Around that time, I think, yeah.
I want to say July. Anyway, it also mentions that this will be there will be 3 downloadable content packs, and that this is the first one. So makes me excited. If well, I have the biggest crossed fingers right now, but assuming that this isn't a Tiny Tina's Wonderlands DLC thing of here's your new area.
You got about that. It's your favorite DLC of last year.
It is. It really is.
The fact that they say new storyline and new dungeons alone makes me think it'll be better received than that.
Probably, but all I'm saying is the only thing they introduced in the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands DLC was technically new dungeons, which came with some new equipment. So hopefully the new story means that it won't be that. And honestly, the quality of Remnant 2 makes me think that it won't be like that anyway. But yeah, I'm excited, and we'll probably pull the trigger on the 3 content packs. I
imagine the excitement also increases because you kind of went through the entire game not getting Remnant 2 until right at the end, and now you're replaying it, but like this is going to be fresh content where you're like, okay, I'm really digging into Remnant 2 now, and it's new things to go through with that kind of joy of the game, rather than replaying the game.
So I agree with you, but you know where you're wrong on that, Saif? And this is part of me not really understanding Remnant 2 until after I finish the first playthrough. I haven't explored even half of the content of the game, despite finishing a playthrough. So this is what blew my mind. Go back to one of the episodes where I talk about Remnant 2, but one of the reasons why I finally clicked with it after the first playthrough was that you go through it, and there's a whole bunch of different areas, which you unlock. You unlock a couple of them sequentially, and then it's like, okay, which area do you want to go and explore? And so I did that. I went into, I've already forgotten the names of the areas and stuff, so let's just say one of the areas, went into one of the areas, this is on the first playthrough, went through it, went through all the dungeons, fought a couple mini bosses, and then fought the final boss of the area. And I went, okay, I understand how this area works, that's cool, that's fine, whatever. And so then my assumption was that the procedurally generated bits were the dungeons between the start point and the final boss that you fought at the end. That was my mistake. On the second playthrough, I saw none of the same content in that same area. It was
because it's randomly generated. I can't remember your review.
So they procedurally generate the pathways through the area, but I believe the set pieces themselves are set in stone. So think of it more as I assumed that it was always the same final boss of the area. There's probably about 3 final bosses, and it's RNG as to which one you get when you play through a particular area. So
okay.
Me now understanding Remnant and enjoying Remnant is now me, unless I get bad RNG and I experience the same sequence as I did before, which sounds very unlikely based on what I read around online, I will effectively be doing another playthrough 1 just on different RNG content. So the beauty of DLC like this is that, assuming that it's a world like the ones that are currently in the game, I will be able to go through and play this DLC as part of this current playthrough, which is playthrough 2. And then when I inevitably do a playthrough 3 to experience more of the content and possibly playthrough 4 or 5 or however long until I start getting the recycled content, I'm assuming this DLC will also have different experiences each time that you play through it. They throw it really, like, it was such a mind fuck when I was in the same area and just went, I don't recognize any of this. And then I went and fought a boss that I'd never fought before on the previous playthrough. I was like, okay, I didn't fuck up the first playthrough. We're good. I can just re-experience it now and enjoy it. And oh man, the lowest Griffin pill bottle, it's starting to shake.
Yeah.
she getting close. Anyway, yeah, one of the previous episodes has me talking about Remnant. I'm hoping it goes on sale soon so that I can pick this DLC up and play through it with my friends so I can talk about it on here again, because it is one of the highlight games of 2023 for me. Anyway, not going to make the rest of this news section about Remnant 2. Instead, I'm going to put the remnants of how good that game is behind us, and we're going to talk about Pokemon. Steve, this is for you.
Yay, Pokemon. So for some reason, they announced the newest DLC, The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, Part 2, the Indigo Disc. They literally just dropped the release date, which comes out the 14th of December. They didn't really make a big deal out of this, like the last DLC. This does build on the last DLC, the Teal Mask.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people online making a big deal about having to finish the game and the first DLC to play the second DLC, when it's kind of a narrative thing. And you want to go through them both?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're not going to... As fun as it is, I don't like starting up a new game and being like, you know what, I want to do the second DLC first. Like, it doesn't make sense. And narratively, they had been building it up from the first DLC, so it makes sense. Finish the base game before you do all this kind of stuff, because probably, and all the rumors and leaks and stuff going around might change a couple things around, so that could be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it comes out
actually
with a lot more stuff.
Question, Stephen.
Oh, here it comes.
Do you need to buy the DLC separately for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, or do you just buy the DLC and you can get it? You can play it with either game.
Are you fucking serious? This is a Pokemon game. What do you think? You're lucky you're not buying it for like a third version. Yeah, you go.
You have to buy it for your neighbor for it to unlock for you.
You can only you need to get, because there's 2 versions of the DLC, even though like there's one form change. It's nothing different. You either get the Pokemon Scarlet DLC or you get the Pokemon Violet DLC. They're the same fucking thing though. It's a scam.
I hate that.
Because
I was thinking of doing a new game run, but doing Pokemon Violet to get some of the Violet Pokemon I still need to get, and just kind of do a fresh run of the Paldea games again. But I don't want to buy 2 separate versions of the DLC, even though in the end I probably will end up doing that, and I'll need to do that for Sword and Shield at some point as well.
I'm begging you. Don't do it. That's you. It's that kind of thing which makes them keep getting. I don't know what it is with Poke fans getting brainwashed with like, oh, there's 2 versions. I got to buy 2 versions. They're the same fucking game. There's 2 DLCs. Got to buy 2 DLCs. So what the DLC I think is.
So the way I get around the 2 versions thing is that I literally just buy the second version for my other brothers that also play Pokemon. So we have 2 copies in the house, but we are doing them like separately. Like, there's a reason to have 2 copies of Pokemon in the house. You
don't really need it, though, with, like, Switch profiles and stuff now, but I guess that's kind of...
My brother has his own Switch. He's got, like, a Switch Lite that he uses.
He comes up, he gets the cartridge, and off he goes. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of makes sense because it's 2 people, but like the people that buy, like, 2 different versions just for themselves. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, they complain about trade Pokemon and having to buy 2 separate versions when it's literally just... My brother in Christ, the whole point is you trade with your friends.
Oh, and my brother in Christ, because you are buying 2 versions, you are contributing to the problem. Like, it's, a Pokemon fan and their money are easily parted, says the guy that pays $15 to come last in a tournament. But yeah, 14th of December, lock it in, babies. Christmas is coming early.
All right, cool. Steve, I have a question for you.
Here it comes.
Why was 6 afraid of 7?
Oh, that was actually a good one because it was November 7th, which means it was Mass Effect Day and
It
7.
was.
Wow.
Yeah, best segue of the night, honestly.
Honestly, yeah.
And,
a bit scared of it though. Being a 7 myself.
Yeah, no, it then went and 8-9. It was terrifying. Anyway, so N7 Day, which is of course yesterday, meant that we got a little teaser, a little aperitif of the new Mass Effect game, which they announced all the way back in 2020. Yeah,
ages ago.
Yeah, and it's basically been radio silence since. There's a little smattering of bits and pieces. So we have some Mass Effect Trilogy veterans working on it. Also, that this is all rehashing old news, but veteran narrative director Mari Demery, the writer behind the modern Deus Ex games, doing the story for the next Mass Effect. Of course, we also talked about how they're laying off roughly 50 people. So we'll see what happens there. And of course, they got Dragon Age Dreadwolf in the pipeline as well. So not really a huge amount of info to kind of get hyped about, but it's more it's on the radar and things are happening behind the scenes. So that makes me excited.
Another more inflammatory question for Steven. When was the last time BioWare made a good game?
Great question, Seth. They made the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It came out 3 years ago, I believe.
That doesn't count. That's a re-release of old games.
But do they make it?
Yeah, they made those games like
yeah. Okay,
10
there we
years
go.
ago.
Fantastic. We're done here. We pack her up, fellas. We're done. We got him, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay,
we got him.
Second, also more inflammatory question: are BioWare fans just setting themselves up for disappointment?
Oh, this game's not coming out for like another 10 years. Everyone's literally just jacking themselves off over nothing. For a still image.
And a walk
fine.
cycle.
Yeah. I will admit, it does look fucking cool. It looks very, very cool. There's something
the
spacey
Tron
about
Legacy style clothing.
Yeah, just the sleekness of it looks very fucking cool. Will I buy a jacket like that when it comes out? That's all. But yeah,
buy a jacket, but he won't buy the Starfield skateboard.
I don't skate. I wear jackets. Now, if they made a jacket that was a skateboard, now don't need my money anymore.
No one rides skateboards anymore. They just hang them on their walls.
I did get a fucking picture for that. Like a picture of the skateboard and print it out. What's the difference? I'll cut out the blank thing around it. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Every now and then I feel like I want to go back to Mass Effect Andromeda, but I had such a shit time with it. I don't want to. Apparently, it's like they sort of fix up the performance issues, but the game overall is just very half-baked.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm in a similar boat. I have it on, I was going to say Origin, whatever it's called now, EA Game App or whatever they wanted to rename it to.
EA Play? No.
X, but for Origin. But actually, I guess, random tangent, PC broke 2 weeks before I left for Japan. Still broken and probably needs a new PSU.
Oh, no way, you went to Japan?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Now that you mention it, I did. Anyway, yeah,
no. You 7?
There were so many 7-Elevens, you would not believe it.
But how many 9-11s were there?
We moving on. So
we moving on quickly.
We moving on very quickly. Before
Fast
the second
even.
point. No, assuming that it is a PSU issue, I'll get a new PSU and then eventually be able to use my PC again, which is basically just a glorified Monster Hunter gaming rig at the moment. But Andromeda existing on that computer does also strike me as every so often thinking maybe I should give that game a go, but never really gotten around to it. It's never been high enough up the priority list. Plus, I don't know if I told you guys, I picked up Titanfall 2 on sale on PS5 before I left, which I am intending to replay through because Titanfall 2 is also on the dead PC, and I do, more than Andromeda, want to replay through the single player of Titanfall 2.
I think that might have been one of the last things you talked about on the podcast before you left.
Probably was. It's all a bit of a blur.
If not, then maybe you mentioned it off podcast, but like a day we were recording.
Anyway, moving on from N7, living in the, you know what? No, segue failed. Sonic Dream Team has been announced for Apple Arcade, which is interesting. I don't know I
I'm
really
sure
don't even know what Apple Arcade is.
It is.
It's
It's basically just
subscription.
it's Apple subscription service where you can
We got
play
Game Pass
games.
on iPhone.
Yeah, iPhone, iPad, Macs.
Oh, yeah, iPad.
Yeah. So it's very
yeah.
weird that there's a Sonic game coming exclusively to Apple Arcade. Ian Flynn, the current writer of the Sonic games, retweeted something that was implying that they're not locked exclusively to Apple Arcade through any contracts. Like, they could still release it on, like, PC, just, I don't think, other platforms. But yeah, so maybe this will come to other things eventually down the line. I'm not putting my hopes too high on that. But yeah, this looks pretty interesting. It's a new 3D kind of like open area game where you get to control multiple characters. Kind of has a Sonic Lost World aesthetic to it. Just kind of looks neat. They haven't shown too much for it at the moment.
Are you gonna get Apple Arcade?
I don't have a
exactly.
I don't have an current Apple product with high enough specs to play these sort of games. I think.
Okay, so hear me out. Apple Arcade, not that expensive, so it probably offsets the cost of a new hyper-spec iPhone, right?
No. Maybe if I get an iPhone on a phone plan, but I'm very happy with my current phone plan and phone.
What if Steve Sex Dungeon sponsored you?
I told you before, I don't get money off of that sponsorship.
Yeah, you don't pay with your money.
I pay with my dignity.
Yeah, that's also worthless, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, short supply.
Anyway, anything more to say about this?
Nah, just kind of neat. I probably won't play it because I don't have anything I can play it, but
it's a 3D Sonic. Huge.
Yeah, it's a 3D open area game. I'll probably just end up watching it myself and then not talk about it ever.
Maybe don't watch it then.
I'm a big enough Sonic fan that I'll still want to see what the game's doing.
What the game doing?
Well, I tell you what Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is doing, which is releasing one DLC. Did not think they had it in them.
Which also means that you've got to set up another work tournament.
Oh, yeah.
What the work tournament doing? Not very valid, though. I actually don't know if people ended up playing. I don't think we played DLC tracks as part of the tournament rounds, but I definitely saw people playing the DLC rounds just for funsies and friendlies afterwards. But yeah, I mean, if you happen to be at my work and also listen to this, which is probably zero overlap, let me know. We can set up another tournament. Yeah, what have we actually got in this one? The Acorn Cup and the Spiny Cup, which
it's just a couple more courses.
Yeah,
no funny DLC characters.
These are all old returning tracks. There's a couple of Mario Kart circuit tracks I won't mention, but they've also got GameCube DK Mountains back, Wii Daisy Circuits, 3DS Rosalina Ice World, SNES Bowser Castle, and the big one for a lot of people, Wii Rainbow Road. And with this pack, this is the last of the Mario Kart 8 DLC. They are all
say
wrapped
until
up
they
with
release
this game.
more.
They're all wrapped up with this game until they decide they want Mario Kart 8 to live another decade.
Mario Kart 8 for the Switch. Very keen.
I mean, hey, you joked that is probably someone at Nintendo was writing that down, and on the same page that they're writing that down on, there's a little note above that says we should make a live-action Zelda movie. And you know what? Holy shit, I think they're doing it.
They are doing it. I hate Twitter for constantly spamming they want Tom Holland to play Link. That is a horrible casting choice.
There's literally 8 billion people in the planet now. I'm sure that I can find someone better than Tom Holland. Got to find
Nicolas
someone.
Cage.
Right? Ooh.
Chris Pratt.
Pedro Pascal.
Hold on. You got something going there.
Yeah, no, I mean as Zelda, but I mean, I guess you could play Link
I
as
meant
well
as
if you
Ganon. Tom Holland as Ganon would be funny. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind that. Oh, sorry, I meant as. I'm very looking. I don't know where I'm going anymore with this. I don't know what this movie looks like. I probably would have preferred an animated one, like in the Mario movie type of aspect, as opposed to a Watchmajigga, a live action movie. But here we go, I guess.
Yeah, I would have preferred the same thing. Just a couple of notes. They've got Avi Arad is going to be producing the movie, and he's kind of got a hit or miss history in the industry. Like, he's made some good decisions as a producer. He's made some god-awful decisions as a producer, so that could go either way. apparently the writers attached to the movie are also all involved with really bad projects. But Miyamoto is also on there to oversee the projects. And a weird one, Sony Pictures Entertainment is going to be distributing the movie.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just a weird note there that Sony and Nintendo are going to be collaborating for the Zelda movie.
Yeah, there's no timeline or anything, is there?
It's coming to PS5.
No. Sony Pictures and Sony Computer Entertainment are two completely different departments.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's zero chance.
It is not zero.
Not
but no,
unless
that's exciting.
Nintendo gets absorbed by Sony.
Hold on. Looks interesting. I don't know. This is currently in the we wait and see camp. We'll wait and see more before I have any hard opinions on it. Not ruling it out, but also I agree. Like there's so much room for error with being a live action movie versus an animated series. But
I think it falls in that camp of like Nintendo would make sure this doesn't turn out bad. Like the Mario movie, it's too important for them to let it turn out bad.
If there's two things we know about Nintendo, it's that they hate their fans, and I forget what the second one is, but the movie should be fine. Speaking of Nintendo,
who do we think should play Link before we move on?
I thought we just threw out a whole bunch of names. Were you not being serious with your picks? Yeah.
Okay, I guess. I think I expected someone that I'd be like, oh, wow, yeah, 100%, that's right.
Jim Carrey.
Nicolas Cage. How many fucking times do we have to tell you?
Did you say Jim Carrey? Ross from Friends.
Ted from How I Met Your Mother.
Definitely can't be Chandler from Friends.
Huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
Hang on.
he played a hobbit, not an elf. Orlando
the guy who played Scarlett Johansson.
Ooh.
Hold on, let him cook.
You know what though, it is the sort of role that I reckon if someone went
The Rock is Ganondorf, you're right.
The Rock is the horse. If someone went to
dirty like that.
Someone went to Daniel Radcliffe or his agent with the script, I reckon he'd do it.
Yeah, I think he would.
I'm not saying he's the right choice. I'm just saying he'd do it. Do you have anyone in mind, Steve? Seems like you're the one interested.
No, absolutely not.
Robert Pattinson.
Adam Sandler. The main character from June, maybe.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, that's his name. Timothy Camembert.
I feel like it's been played out a little too long. We should move on.
Yeah, sorry, you're right.
We should, but I think Timothy Chalamet, like I was actually trying to think, for some reason I only remembered his name as the guy from Dune. I was trying to think, because he's also the new Willy Wonka, and I was trying to think of the guy who plays the new Willy Wonka could actually unironically be a decent link. And thank you for that, Steve. Bloody single brain cell happening. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet, actually kind of a potential. Anyway, speaking of Nintendo and cooking, no, nothing about cooking. We have more titles being released from you know what, I'm trying to speak and read at the same time. I don't know what the fuck the second article's about. Someone help me out.
This other Nintendo one.
Yeah, what are they saying here? Nintendo to continue to release new titles for Switch without being bound by the traditional console platform lifecycle. Yeah. So they're just embracing tradition and rejecting modernity by saying we're not going to make a sequel to the Switch.
They're rejecting tradition by saying they will continue supporting the Switch for a while to come. I don't think this has anything to do with Switch 2 or... This was basically said at an investor meeting, and the Switch is still doing really well, so they're just cozying up the investors by saying, yeah, the Switch is still doing really well, we have no plans to drop it, and yeah, so we don't have any insights of what will happen with the next Switch, but if you own a Switch right now, then you'll probably still get support for a few more years, which kind of happens with console generations anyway. There's like 1 or 2 years where there's a crossover period. Nintendo usually drops the old console right away for the new one, so maybe they're going to do what the other platform holders do and they do some cross-gen titles before fully committing to the next console.
I'd like them to do that, but yeah. The second the Switch 2 comes out, what do you mean? We don't make Switch games. Never have, never will.
It's really, I don't know, every so often it just hits me that I still have and actively use a Switch that I went to the midnight release for to get back in 2015. Is that right?
No, 2017.
Sick. No, I think it was no,
20.
fourth year. You're right. No. You're all right. It would have been 2017.
Yeah, I also have a launch model, but I didn't get it myself. It's kind of like swapped hands a few times. Our buddy Jake,
Fake fan.
Our buddy Jake had it for Zelda, and then after finishing Breath of the Wild, he didn't have a reason to own it anymore. So he sold it to Lexi, and then Lexi sold it to me.
What an absolutely unhinged thing to do.
Because
you finished one game and it's like, okay, I don't want to play with you anymore. What a weird thing to do.
What do you mean? That would be the only way that I'd buy an Xbox.
They made their money back on it.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow.
So.
Actually, I don't think it was like full price back, but they got it. I think in the end it was like if you totaled it, it probably was only like $50 spent.
Imagine like you sell it as Jake used the Switch and he sells it for more than he bought it for.
I don't think Jake would increase value. I think it's actual. I have to pay to get rid of it.
Grim.
He also has to pay to deep clean all the ports. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of someone that has to pay, facing hard time paying for their crimes.
Yuji Naka?
SBF. No, well, Yuji Naka, yes, but SBF found guilty. Basically, nothing else to say. Just Crypto King in the toilet. Good luck. Only funny meme that I saw coming out of that. The find someone who looks at you the way the courtroom artist looks at Sam Bankman-Fried. Don't know if you guys saw that image.
Yeah, he looks like most Chad. Yeah,
the most chatted up person on the stand. And then you look at what the image of his ex-girlfriend, I forgotten her name, the Harry Potter fan that was running the other research arm, but she looks absolutely terrible in courtroom picture form. So it's just funny. Looking at the comparison. Anyway, speaking of epic wins, Elon Musk just absolutely killing it for X, formerly known as Twitter, by finally being released from the shackles of having people on PlayStation being able to use X, formerly known as Twitter. Long time coming, but finally got rid of Sony.
This kind of sucks. I know both of you guys don't really care for the share feature in consoles that are out there now.
I hate it so much.
But the share feature has been a benefit to the industry in general. Like, Stephen and I were talking about the Yakuza series last week, and Yakuza got the big Western boon again because of the share button. It would not be back in as big as it is now if it wasn't for people playing the PS4 versions and sharing screenshots and videos and just generally getting clips and screenshots out there to spread awareness of those games. And there's a bunch of other small titles that kind of see those benefits as well from the share button. So yeah, sucks that this is going away because Elon Musk is a genius and put a massive fee on the API, so everyone is leaving.
All I'm saying is it's some 5-dimensional chess or something. You're not smart enough to see the grand plan.
I'm not, but that grand plan also involves every single one of these statements saying we're integration with X in brackets, formerly known as Twitter, every single time.
Yeah. Right, I don't really have anything more to talk about that.
I don't. It just sucks that this is going away because it will end up hurting a few games, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that eventually it would start hurting X, formerly known as Twitter, but still waiting for that day to come because it seems like everything is fine and that there are no issues with Elon Musk continually driving a company into the ground. Speaking of driving companies into the ground, though, that's the end of the joke. Pause for applause. The studio head says that Blizzard's job is to satisfy impatient people who want new stuff every day, every hour, sounding a little sad that all he has is the $70 billion from Microsoft and a bunch of impatient fans. So what is the context of this? What are we?
BlizzCon on the weekend and he's not very happy.
Yeah, it was just a quote from an interview, and I don't know, it sounds a little derogatory of the player base to say people have no patience and we need to we have to keep churning out content so that they're happy every day, every hour. This kind of goes into their work culture, because later on he's also quoted as saying he wants to make sure that if people spend $1 or even like a dime in a Blizzard game, they want those players to feel a massive sense of satisfaction from that purchase. So
interesting.
They're always striving to have that Blizzard quality to their to anything that they're putting out.
Now it's talking about derogatory statements.
And in part of that, like their new stuff every day approach, we got World of Warcraft announcing their next 3 expansions ahead of time. Updates to Diablo 4, updates to Overwatch 2 and Hearthstone, updates to Diablo Immortal as well and Warcraft Rumble, and a new survival game that's unnamed and on its way. They're just everything in the kitchen sink at all of their games to make sure that you spend all your time and money in their games.
You know what's really funny in like a cosmic sense to me with this? Blizzard is bitching about how fans are impatient. Fans were the most impatient for the PvE mode of Overwatch 2, which people literally dropped money and therefore, I guess, satisfaction to get, that were then told, hey, it's not coming. And if they were told, hey, it's not coming in favor of content because fans are impatient, then that's just hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's grim. There's no other way of putting it. Yeah.
I don't know. I look at, okay, admittedly, Diablo seems to be a bit of a blip on that one. It seems like people are still enjoying, I don't know what the player base is like, but it seems like Diablo 4 went over fairly well and is still going strong. But so many of the other parts of it, it's like, man, don't you just hate it when people really want to play your games? And you're like, yeah, don't you just hate it when the games that people really want to play are the ones that you fucking axe?
I think with Overwatch 2 as well, specifically, someone was like going, here's a content pack that you can buy, and it's more expensive than just buying Overwatch 1 outright when it released.
It's all of that sort of shit. And it's like, yeah, no, you dropped more money than Overwatch 1. We want to make sure that it's a satisfactory experience. I don't believe that. Anyway, I don't know. As someone who is kind of around tech on like a daily basis, I can kind of see where the studio head's coming from. But it also does just sound a little bit woe is us that you have so much brand rep that is Blizzard, and you feel like you're in a corner where you need to announce all this stuff because people want you to announce it. Whereas it seems like outside of Diablo, everything that's been announced has kind of just turned to shit, unless I'm wrong. But
as someone
wait and see.
That has a not deep understanding, but like an understanding enough of the Final Fantasy 14 community, I see where he's coming from, but also that's like a vocal minority, and the 14 developers actively say, hey, once you're done with the content, you can take a break. You can do something else. You don't have to spend your entire life on Final Fantasy 14. The game will always be here, and we have these content drops planned out, so you can come back for those when they're ready.
I think I need to restate the position a little bit. I think it's laughable because Blizzard has already won in this situation. They're saying people want to play their game so badly that they can't wait for the next release. So therefore, regardless of when their next release is, they already have so many fans that will come and play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally the perfect position to be in. And so it's weird to be like, I guess we give in to the people that really want to play our games by announcing stuff early and just setting ourselves up for failure versus, as you say, the Final Fantasy 14 approach of, if you really like our stuff, then cool, we have stuff on the way, and then it comes out and then people play it. Instead, it's this weird, like, money grinding machine of how do we extract everything we can out of every supposed fan we have, and then wonder why they complain about like content quality and things. I don't know. It seems like a backwards argument to me.
It definitely feels like I'm not sure if it's the CEO or whoever's talking to the CEO. Of Blizzard isn't more of one of those, hey, the people on Twitter are yelling at us. Oh, we have to help them. And like, it's probably like a very vocal, very minority. And they're just sort of listening to them because they're screaming the loudest.
I'm sorry, Steve, what's wrong with minorities?
Can we move on? You almost got me baited. You almost got me cancelled.
No,
yeah,
finish your point. Finish your point though. It was too. I'm so sorry. It was too easy. But where were you going with it?
No, because I'm just saying. It seems like they're listening to people on Twitter that are like complaining about the game as opposed to collecting valuable feedback from. I don't know whether the streamers, the community. It just seems like people are whinging on Twitter and like, yeah, cool. This guy with 100,000 followers, he's having a cry and he's got 200 likes on his thing. Let's solve his problem. But like everyone else is like just not really talking about it. So it might feel like you have to do a lot more than what you should, but you don't have to. Like maybe this is a sign for the CEO to go outside. Maybe Twitter's not a good thing.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure in the context of this interview, at least, it is a studio head, so not quite the CEO.
Okay, sorry.
But I mean, like all the points are still valid. And I think it's interesting, especially with that we want people to be satisfied with a purchase of $1 or a dime, when particularly in Diablo Immortal's case, the monetization strategy is literally that the only way to continue playing is to put in $1 or a dime. That becomes a very regressive. Are you satisfied with having to purchase to continue playing mentality? Which again, I laugh at. And I'm not laughing necessarily at the studio head because I feel like those decisions aren't necessarily made by the studio head, but it's just funny in the context of all of the shit that we've been talking about with Blizzard for ages, and then someone within Blizzard going, hey, it's kind of unfair that we're copping all this flack for all the shit that we do. And it's like, well, gee, stop doing all the shit and then we won't have to give you as much flack. But hey, at least Bobby Kotick gets us nice couple $100 million after the merger.
Can we move on?
I hate being alive.
Moving on.
Bobby Kotick brought up. Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Full disclosure. I was going to make fun of a man's appearance for this next segue. I'm not going to do that. Instead, so the article is about one of Embracer's executives resigning and announces their own gaming company. What I wanted to latch onto is that this article from PC Gamer features a picture of one Egil Strunk. No idea if I'm saying that correctly or not, but if you picture what you think one Egil Strunk looks like, that's the image. I look at that man and I go, yeah, he looks like an Egil Strunk to me.
Very rectangular face and very white.
Yes.
That is a sharp jawline, though.
It is. Yeah. He do be having a jawline.
Probably from the Netherlands or something.
Very possible.
I think Embracer is Swedish.
Yeah, just next door. Anyway, doesn't matter. Continue the story.
I don't actually know where the story goes.
I can take over because I did read this a little bit before.
Sure.
Yeah, so Mr. Strunk here, he announced his departure from...
Mr. Strunk is my father, please. It's Egg.
Dr. Professor Strunk.
He announced his departure from Embracer back in June, so this isn't like big news that he's leaving. They already have his replacement in place at the company, but he's just left this week while also announcing that he's opening his own company called Strunk Games. Which aims to support and be involved in some of the most interesting gaming studios, companies, and projects around the globe as the games industry continues its constant change. So he is leaving Embracer while they're in turmoil from absorbing too many companies and seems to be opening up his own shell company that will just absorb other companies itself.
I can't believe they're going to buy and destroy Volition again.
Oh, man. Don't do that to that poor devs.
Yeah, now I'm sad twice. Thanks, me. Yeah, you've basically summed up the whole article. It seems, I don't know. I am very skeptical of someone involved in a high-level decision-making at Embracer and how much that's turned to shit to then be like, you know what the problem was when I made decisions at Embracer? The fact it was called Embracer.
Hey, they did what they said they were going to do. They embraced all of the small companies.
And they embraced a couple of them a bit too hard, and they didn't make it. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm never a fan of these weird big let's just absorb a bunch of shit, and it seems like that's the only thing that this person knows how to do. So we'll see what happens, I guess. Maybe Ubisoft gets bought up and has to change its name to Strunksoft. or Ubistrunk.
That sounds cool. I think it comes out with cool names.
Anything more to say about that, or do we move on?
Yeah, we can move on.
Steve, can we move on?
Of course.
I need your explicit.
You know what? Yes.
Oh, thank you. I don't care about Steph's opinion.
Oh, damn.
Just catching strays out here. Next up,
what did I ever do?
It's what you didn't do, Seth.
You know what? I said it and I was fully expecting that to be the response.
Actually, you know what? I take all of that back because I just thought back to listening to last week's episode when Steve asked you point blank who your favorite 4 podcast hosts are, and then you said my name 4 times. Anyway.
See, I supported you while you weren't here.
Yeah, you did.
And this is the thanks I receive.
Again, that's promo code.
Stop bringing that up. I have to get a branded one.
like a Razer one with LEDs. Anyway, Xbox's Phil Spencer considers PS5 and Nintendo Switch players part of the Xbox community, which is funny because the Xbox community is the smallest of both PS5 and Nintendo Switch.
Well, if you can't beat them, then absorb them.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's
even if you didn't think you were being
unironically Microsoft's
absorbed.
brand motto.
He also goes on to say systems like the ROG Ally and Steam Deck are also part of the Xbox community. He's literally saying these things because Xbox games have released on those consoles, and now that they own Activision Blizzard, they're backtracking it and going, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, and World of Warcraft are on PlayStation. That makes them part of our community too.
I mean,
is it wrong?
I don't think it's wrong.
It's not correct because if it is, where's my Game Pass on PlayStation?
Hey, now
talk to Phil Spencer's replacement. We both know that if Daddy Phil had his way, everything would have Game Pass. Fridges, my boss at work, like if he had his way, it's everybody else that's the problem.
If he had his way, Xbox would have bought Nintendo, right?
Yeah,
that was like one of his lasting. Like I see that
he wants that to be his crowning achievement at Xbox.
Yeah. Buying
Imagine
Nintendo.
if he did, but we might get Mario Wonder, but it's the Master Chief.
Super Master Chief Wonder.
I need to think about that for a bit. Halo Wonder, huh? Or is it Super Master Chief one? Anyway, I again don't really have a whole lot to talk through on this one. Just I mean,
it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for him to say, but it might be interesting as this is what like Xbox is thinking. It's like, oh yeah, as long as we can sort of get our tentacles inside of something, it becomes us. So we might have to acquire things if we've already got other big acquisitions.
Spider-Man 2 just came out and is about Venom, and now Xbox is acting like they're the symbiote. It's all connected.
Finally, the extended universe that we all wanted.
Finally, the XCU. We're going to make it. Anyway, I'm done.
Cool. Speaking of making things, Xbox would like AI to help making games in the future, and devs aren't too happy about that.
Lazy devs.
No. This is devs wanting to be more active and being upset that AI is replacing them to make them lazy.
Well, yeah, all right, that's fair. Well, walk us through it. I think I understand. Like, they're not just doing it to do all the writing and stuff. They're trying to think about it to do all the dumb coding stuff that they usually outsource to third world countries anyway, isn't it?
It's kind of hard to split. So this article is talking about a partnership that's been announced with a company called InWorld AI, which, well, as they say, to empower game creators with the potential of generative AI. And they highlight things like AI character runtime engine for basically just sort of like on the fly generate. Think of like ChatGPT feeding you the story as you play through. So in one sense, you have a lot more freedom, and that's kind of cool. It's not as my reading of this. It's not the idea of helping just build the game where like you have an AI to help you write the code for the game. This is taking on a much larger role of we want to fundamentally change how the game is made and enjoyed with the help of AI, rather than we want to speed the process of making the game that we were going to make by using AI in parts of the process. It's kind of hard to distinguish because there's probably some tangled mess of what the actual truth is somewhere in there. But
a lot of this is also what SAG-AFTRA went on strike against for Hollywood.
Yes.
And so it seems like the gaming community may want to do a strike themselves to stop this sort of thing from happening to their workplace too.
Yeah, because the main difference is that, I don't think it was so much SAG, whatever the Writers Guild is, definitely, where one of the stipulations is that you cannot train AI on what people will write in terms of scripts and things. And here, chances are those protections don't exist. So you could happily, in world, assuming that they would be the ones to do it, could train the AI on how games have been written for the past 20 whatever years, and then use that to then automatically generate and build new stories to tell, which not only puts what the games that would result from that in a precarious position, but you think about all the people that, like, even thinking about the story that we had with Mass Effect, right? We have a series veteran for the new Deus Ex games. I've forgotten her name. Marcy Demery, I think, was who I said 10 minutes ago. She would probably charge BioWare a pretty penny because she's got quite a lot of backing in storytelling and writing. I can see a world where Microsoft, or any other company for that matter, would weigh up, is it worth paying this one person this much to have a very good story versus paying AIs effectively nothing to have a good enough story. And it's that sort of thing where we just don't really have the quality controls around how we use AI yet, which makes me nervous for giving AIs such large roles in, like, I mean, some of the stuff they're talking about here is crazy ambitious, right? Like there was also there was a tech demo, I think a year ago or a couple of years ago, of the dialogue in a game being backed by an AI such that you would speak the response and it would get parsed to text and then sent to the AI. And so the conversation you had with an NPC was therefore more dynamic. And it's cool as a tech demo, but it's like, what does that actually mean for the gaming experience? Because unless it's something like Scribblenauts where you're intentionally trying to jailbreak the game for fun, I just don't know that. Well, I don't think any of the gaming experiences that I look back on really fondly as being heavily story-driven ones are made better with the idea of dynamically injecting AI to lift characters or lift story or lift arcs instead of just well-written moments.
Yeah, there's no way that like it could be used to replace those moments. The only way I could sort of see it working if it does add a bit more depth to dumb things like Radiant or like fetch quest type of thing, a repeatable quest. But then at that point, that's like a gameplay issue with the loop. Then it's like, okay, I'm not going to play this, like, regardless of how deep the story is. If the go out, collect 5 mushrooms, come back, like, I don't care. Be interesting. I say it's half interesting to see where it goes, because I definitely agree with you, Pat. Well, I sort of agree and I sort of disagree. Like, there are some like big gaming moments that are like narrative driven for me, like the going back to like a BioWare reference, like Knights of the Old Republic 2 with that big reveal at the end, or especially Knights of the Old Republic 1 with that big reveal as well. And those things don't think could be written by AI, but a lot of the side quests could be padded out with AI. So interesting to see where it goes. It's not going to be very good for the industry, but there is definitely a universe we live in where in the next couple of years, like a roguelike comes out and that's entirely AI generated. Because that is such a simple loop to do. It's sort of RNG. You just need a shell. AI fills out the rest of it.
Some indie developers are 100% going to just do an AI generated roguelike at some point.
Be interesting to see how it goes though.
Anyway, it's one of those like, are we staring down the printing press type thing of like, yeah, we're looking at the limitations of this technology now, but chances are it will become more and more commonplace. And yes, it will have fallout on people who like their bread and butter is being in these industries affected. And
yeah, it's going to be very hard for them to take off as well, because the creatives in the industry are doing their best to mess with their work so they can't be sampled by AI. Like there's a lot of arts programs now that do something within the code of the save file and artwork, so that on the back end AI just cannot use it as a reference, and it absolutely destroys the AI recognition. Voice actors getting their voices printed by AI are also doing their best to fight against that, because there's a lot of entry-level jobs in voice acting that are going to go away if AI replaces that, which means you'll only have like the big names for the big roles, while background characters are all AI generated, when that could have gone to someone that's trying to be up and coming.
Yeah, it's all that sort of thing. It's something that I think society is going to end up having to face one way or another, because this is only going to get more. We're only going to see more of this before we see less, and so
it's going to be competitive for a few years.
Yeah, how we choose to deal with it is going to be really interesting for all these reasons. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those, like, it is a sign of the times, and chances are some good will come from some part of this, but it's whether there's enough good to justify what will probably be a lot of bad as well. And that I don't have a good compass or bearing of just yet.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting nonetheless.
Being from the creative side of this sort of industry, I'm just like all for not having AI replace human talent.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really have anything more to say.
Yeah, let's see how we go.
I am also good to move on.
Cool. And finally, continuing with AI, we have Sony Interactive Entertainment, who we just mentioned is doing a collaboration with Nintendo for the Zelda movie. Did I get that the right way around, Seth?
Yep.
Excellent. Entering into an agreement to acquire iSize, which specializes in deep learning for video delivery, which, I mean, this side...
I didn't get how this works.
This is basically like taking lower res videos and up-resing them through AI.
Yeah, it's basically... Let me break it down for you, Steve. So in 6 months, when Naughty Dog announces that they're going to remaster the remade, re-release, remaster of Last of Us 1, if we had something like iSize, then that remaster, re-release, remaster, reboot would actually be a lot faster to do, because you could just get an AI to just upscale everything, and there's very little dev work involved.
But this would be specifically for the remaster, remake, update of the TV HBO show, not the game.
Yeah, good point. Yes.
So they would be taking what they recorded in 4K and using AI to upscale it to 12K.
Okay. What about
which part of this aren't you getting?
I've only got a 1080p TV.
The human eye can only see in 30 frames.
24 frames. I'm not wearing glasses. Hang on, if you're wearing glasses, is it 60 frames a second?
Then it is cheating, yes.
You wear 2 pairs of glasses.
If you're wearing 3D glasses, it's 120 FPS.
That's how right you are sometimes, Seth. Basically, it's video optimization is all this is. What Sony's angle is for acquiring this, I'm not quite sure, because it's like as we say, it's like video. It's not necessarily like game upscaling or anything, at least yet. So they're clearly running some angle. It's not mentioned in the article. Yeah,
if it was Sony Pictures, I'd get where they're coming from, but this is Sony Interactive. Unless Sony Interactive has their hand in like PlayStation Studios or something, which is like the PlayStation Studios being the production company for like the Gran Turismo movie and other things coming out from that.
I mean, it's possible, but then again, why wouldn't it just be the production house or the studio that would actually do?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, maybe that part falls under Sony Interactive instead of Sony Pictures, and that's where it comes in. But I'm not 100% sure on that.
The only thing I can think of is if you even then it doesn't make as much sense. I'm not sure. This will be one of those. We'll probably hear more info later on when we hear about why this is the case, because it does seem funny that in the intro that all these companies going around acquiring things, and then it almost feels like this is a Sony buys Bungie thing of like Microsoft announces that they're buying Activision Blizzard. Microsoft announces that they're trying to partner with an AI company. And so then Sony's like, oh yeah, well, we'll just go buy Bungie. And then they see the AI announcement. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just go buy an AI company too.
Funnily enough, I think this one actually came out before the Microsoft one. It's just, it flowed better.
Let me have this. Anyway.
I can't let you have anything.
Nothing more from me on this.
Yeah, this is a weird one, and I don't know where it's going to go. And that's all about the input I have on that. Like, I don't even know entirely what they're going to be using it for, so I can't be mad about what jobs it's replacing.
It's replacing C-suite jobs. Hoorah.
I don't know what that means. Actually, you know what? I don't care what that means.
It would be funny if the acquisition was to like replace the COO, for example.
Okay, no, that would be
fun. Oh, you know what? Based. Wait, does the COO salary go to the AI or the rest of the studio?
AI needs to be paid.
Or does it go to me for editing the podcast?
Oh, hey. I don't think that. I do not think that at all.
Well, regardless of what you do or don't think, we can all think about how this is the end of the news section for this week. No audience question for this week, which means we are at the stage where we can happily tease little cliffhangery bits for episode 99.
Ooh, getting close.
Getting close. What do I have on the horizon? Not much. I will probably be playing a bit more Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which I played a fair bit of in Japan. Went to Japan, by the way.
Yeah, I heard you went to Japan recently. It'd be interesting to hear what you thought about that next week.
Yeah, I'll talk about that next week. And I'm actually also rewatching Final Space Season 2 and probably eventually Final Space Season 3 as well. And most of the way through Season 2, if I finish that, I will talk about that because I've had some feelings about it before, have some feelings now. Would be interesting to see what's changed and what hasn't changed opinion-wise. Saif, what have you got on the horizon, if anything?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I started a little bit of Gran Turismo, but not sure if that's something worth talking about.
The movie?
No, the game. The game.
Oh, I didn't know that they made a game based on the movie.
A game based on the movie?
Excellent. They made 7, in fact. They all came out relatively fast.
Fast like the car?
Fast like Lightning McQueen. Speaking of, that was a news docket I forgot to put in. Lightning McQueen's going to be in Rocket League.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What was really funny was I saw a screenshot or like a teaser picture from I guess Epic. I was going to say Psyonix. They don't really exist anymore. Saw a picture from Epic saying announcement coming tomorrow, and it was so clearly the Lightning McQueen like side of the car that it was like they're going to announce a collab, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I'm disappointed, but I don't know.
I think this is extremely funny, and I might play Rocket League to get that. I want to read the Scott Pilgrim books before the anime comes out, so I might do that. I might just binge through that real quickly over the weekend.
Reading. Yuck.
Yeah, but it's Western comics, not Japanese comics, so you should be happy about that.
No, I just mean reading in general, reading in all forms. You're reading what's in the ingredients packet on the back of Chips bag. Ugh, disgusting.
I need to know the nutritional value.
There is none. There, I've summed it up for you.
But yeah, I'm kind of in flux of what I'm going to be doing because I've finished basically all of the big games I want to play for the year. So I got to sort myself out.
This guy.
What about Steven? What are you up to?
I'm actually going to Perth next week for a wedding, so I think it'll be Switch time. That's right. Don't forget, I've got Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so I might have to start playing that.
No, it's time for you to play Mario Wonder and then come in next week and say how wrong I was, and it is actually the second coming of Christ.
No, I won't be doing that. But yeah, it'll probably be Xenoblade Chronicles 3, to be honest. Still got to finish 13 Sentinels. And the game just sort of tails off towards the end. I think I'm just over it. But yeah, no, something will be happening. But yeah, I won't be here next week, everybody. Sorry.
What a weird way to announce that.
Yeah.
Just dropped it on us mid-recording.
Could have just not shown up next week like a real Chad, but no.
Then you guys would have just recorded the podcast and been like, hey, that was much better.
I mean, we're missing Steve.
Would have gone the whole way through recording it and been like, was Steve here?
I didn't laugh this entire episode. You couldn't have been.
I kept asking why 6 was afraid of 7. I got no response.
But yeah, that's it for me. What are you going to be up to, Pat?
I literally went through this already.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I forgot. As soon as I said it, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck, here we go. He's going to chill me out now.
Well, I actually just came back from Japan, so let me. Anyway,
there was one more Japan reference, and then I'm cutting you off.
I think you get 7 more Japan references.
Oh, here we go. Anyway, as you can tell, this is at the end of episode 98. Thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed what you've listened to somehow, then leaving us a like, a review, a comment, a subscription, any way to increase our presence in the algorithm really helps us out on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, or YouTube, or wherever else. Or if you're pirating, stop that. Do it the legal way. Pirates are bad. Anyway, I've been Patrick. I've been joined by Saif and Steve. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, Pat's trip to Japan.